Have you seen the one that's like the sad face?
Take it a little
Oh my
while.
gosh, so somebody will say, hey, look at this, and when you look at it, it's you, but you're going. Which of course makes you do that, and it's recording the whole time they're showing that to you. Oh, it's horrible.
Why do you think I put you down there instead of me
Great,
this
I
time?
appreciate you.
I get to pick where I was.
I'm gonna get an email from Jenny Craig.
All right. We are good to go.
Okay, great, reconvene to open session at 7:15. With no action taken in closed session. So that leaves us to a flag salute. Do we have a wonderful flag salute person to help lead us?
Garrett, do we have a flag, do we have a student from you guys?
We do not.
All right, then I guess pick someone random.
So Garrett's doing it?
So Garrett's doing it.
I love it. Pretty please, Garrett.
All right, please stand. Hand over your hearts. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent, Mr. Bridges. Okay, community input on agendized items. The public may comment on items listed on the agenda, including the consent calendar, presentation, discussion, committee, and action items. Do we have any community input on agendized items?
There is none.
All right, hearing none, we'll move forward. Items for consent. Items for consent. We have minutes of the regular board meeting. We have the in-kind donation to community action partnerships with desk, chairs, tables, projectors, roll-up screens, and miscellaneous office furniture. Saddleback Valley Honor Society donation of $10,145 designated for board handball wall replacements. Saddleback Valley Honor Society donation of $4,418.10 designated for outdoor garden classroom build out. South Orange County Honor Society donation of $1,221.49 designated for outdoor garden classroom build out, and the personnel report listed below. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve consent items A through F. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve consent items A through F.
Thank you, Director Travis. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Tagu. Having a motion and a second, any questions or comments about consent items A through F? Hearing none, we'll move forward with a roll call vote. Director Agarwal.
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye. Director Tagu.
Aye.
Director Smith.
Aye.
And Director Travis.
Aye.
This motion carries. Items for presentation. Financial report, Ms. Palomino.
Yes.
Does she switch over to MRS soon?
Not yet.
Alrighty. Good evening, OPA Board of Directors. So we are going to be presenting here our financials. All right, so quick snapshot, we are presenting financials as of March 31st, 2022. We have an operating income of $349,000 for Saddleback Valley and $318,000 for South Orange County campus. Here we have a summary of the income statement. It's just a big picture of our revenues and our expenses. As you can see on the actual columns there at the bottom, net income again for SV, we have a net income of just above $349,000. And for South Orange County, just under $318,000. Here we have the detail, which is the breakdown of the summary line by line. This first page here is all of our revenue for both campuses. I do want to point out that if you see on the variance column, we should be good at about 25%, just because our actuals are from July through March, which represents 75% of the fiscal year. So if we're at a variance of about 25%, that means we're pretty good with our revenue side or even on our expenditure side. So that's just a quick view or a quick way to look at kind of the numbers and where we're at. And right now for revenue, everything's showing negative because we haven't reached all of our revenues for the year, because again, this is only numbers through March, and you'll see the same on the expense side. Any questions on the revenue side that you guys might have noticed? Okay, I just want to point out that for the child nutrition programs, both on the federal level and the state level, they do take quite a while to reimburse us. It's all done with a check. It's not wire transfer or anything like that. So we have some catch up to do there. So that's why our numbers look relatively low in those two lines, as well as for our federal money for special ed programs. That always also takes a while to get reimbursement. So you actually see a 0 there for the current fiscal year through March. So just some items to point out for you guys. Next page here, we have expenses. This pretty much not summarizes, but shows all of our expenses as well as our statutory benefits and our health and benefit expenses. Again, now you see here on the variance column, you're looking at positive numbers. So it's showing as if we're saving money, but we're actually, again, we still have 3 months left to report an expense. So again, that variance column should be about 25% remaining for the school year. Any questions here on the salary and wages page? Okay. I do want to highlight that second line at the top under teachers, certificated salaries, teachers specifically stipends. It looks that like we have 62% of this to expense, and that is because most of these stipends are paid at the end of the year. So this, the actual dollar amount will go up in the month of June significantly. All right, on the next page here, we have our books and supplies, services and other operating expenses, rentals, leases and repairs, and just other services and operating expenses, sorry. Any questions on this page? And a lot of our expenses will slow down closer to the end of the fiscal year, just because school is, is going to be out. We don't need to purchase books, curriculum, things of that nature. So a lot of our expenses will end up slowing down, aside from payroll, the normal stuff. And then I do want to highlight our legal fees. As of March, right now, we are showing a negative on both campuses. This number will be positive for the remaining months, but we have significantly dropped our legal expenses compared to prior years, and so those are going to be big savings there. And then last but not least, our communications, postage and delivery expenses here. And again, you see on that actual column, the net income for SV just above 349,000, and for South Orange County, just under 318,000. All right, here we have our April check register.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Sorry. When you get to print expense, like printing and copy and that sort of thing,
Yes.
is that how does that contract set up? Remind me, is that a pay-per-click kind of thing?
It is. So it's kind of like a two-part. There's a monthly fixed fee that's about $1,800, and then we have a cost per copy billing as well. So that varies depending on that month. So that's your variable expense there.
And what on a month-over-month basis, just kind of round numbers, what is that?
We're looking at about $1,500, $1,800 per campus for the printing cost.
Okay. That number 2 years ago was about $20,000.
It was.
Okay.
Per
So
month, that puts it in perspective, right?
Yeah.
Well, and it's all post-COVID. I mean,
Well, it's post-COVID, it was also,
It was a bad
remember,
contract,
we
yeah.
went
I know,
through
but I was
a
also-
gigantic transition from the way the plan used to be to this plan with the expectation that it was gonna get a lot more manageable.
We had a legacy contract
Yes.
and we worked through that and to get in a better place where we really are using more electronic
Mhm.
than print. I think,
Which is what our expectation was.
yeah,
Yeah.
and through COVID, I think that also helped people understand, oh, we can do it without printing so much.
Yeah, and then we have all of our curriculum has an online version
Component.
where they're not having to make so many copies and the kids aren't having to use so much paper, teachers aren't making so many worksheets, so there's a
That's the
big
way
difference.
That's the way, right? That's how most schools are doing it now.
Yeah, so we have hard copy and electronic versions of all of our curriculum, but the kids have that access to the online.
But had that transition not been made, we'd still be under that old contract. There were years left in it. And we'd still be doing and paying no matter how, even though all of our curriculum has all that, even though that shift had happened.
So David did a
We've come a long
job
way.
of getting rid of that.
Well done.
Yeah, great job. That's why I look at him as. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions before we get into the registers? Alrighty, so here we have our April check register. We had a total of $299,889 paid out for the month of April, starting with check number 129. And working our way down to the last check being number 225. All right, and next up is our credit card register. Here, these are our March credit card expenditures. And that was a total of $6,600 for the month of March, and we did pay the prior month, which was the $11,786.16. That was in February's transaction that was paid in the month of March.
It's really nice to see the credit card stuff pulled out and the check register and all the detail. Yeah, it's great.
And last but not least, we have our balance sheet here. Again, this is where we stand as of March 31st. We have officially closed 2 months within our new system, Sage Intact. So that's very exciting for us here in the central office. As you can see, for cash, we're at both sites, we're just under 4 million each, and our total assets are just above 4.3 million for Saddleback Valley and 4.5 million for South Orange County. The same numbers for liabilities and equity. Any questions?
Do we need to do anything right now to start planning for potential funding of the middle school and so on? That's can happen later.
For the most part, it's kind of built in, so if the charter is approved, then we'll apply for the charter school, basically the $600,000 grant for opening a new charter school. We have to have that approved. We actually can't even apply until January, so that would be the first piece. Most of it is, we'll do the loan at the $914,000. That's really our startup costs. And then once the school opens, we will start receiving our apportionment or our per student funds, and we'll apply to have that actually get an advanced apportionment. So instead of it being spread out over the entire year, we'll get kind of a bigger lump sum in September. We need the 900,000 to float us from July to September, but then we'll get a big lump sum in September that will kind of be our most 70% of our apportionment for the rest of the year. So then we'll have plenty of money that way through that.
I'm just saying if you need to have like a separate line item that starts putting money away in anticipation of the loan, or that can be done.
That can be
right
done,
away
and
in
we have the cash, so really, we'll just do the $914,000 loan, because we have, we will have at that point about $8 million in the bank, so we'll be able to just kind of make that cash loan to the new school.
Is that loan, when we do that loan, is it a line item that's pulled out of the budget and we'll be able to see it every month?
It'll be pulled out of each school. There's a different amount because that money is actually pulling more money out of SOC, because SOC had a larger piece of the settlement than SB. It'll be basically a negative from each one of those accounts of that amount, and then so it'll always be on our bank sheets or our account sheets.
You'll see it on our balance sheet here.
Yeah.
You'll see it as a liability.
And then when we pay it back, you'll see it kind of going down, and And it'll be paid back depending on, how much each school basically gave to it.
Yeah.
We'll take it out of our actual, so we have it sitting in a CD right now. We're actually gonna leave that in the CD because it makes more interest, and take it out of our regular accounts and leave the 900,000 actually making interest in the CD. It's really just kind of moving money around. We have the cash though.
Does that make sense?
It does, I was just processing, like, when you start,
Yeah.
using some of this money on this stuff, and it's really from this, yeah.
Yeah, and this.
But we
it'll
have to
be-
make sure for the audit that everything is
Yes.
recorded and we can
Yes.
see exactly where everything's going
That's a
and
good one.
exactly how we're paying it back and all of that.
And when we get to that stage, we'll explain it.
Yeah,
as we get to that
and actually
point.
on our budgets that we turned in, for the charter, it actually shows, how much is coming from each school and
Right.
exactly, the amount that's going in and how it's coming from the settlement money versus our LCFF money.
It used to be that we would get a slideshow or a slide that kind of represented like where things were over, where things were under. I would really like to see that moving forward.
Yes.
I think it's a helpful for us in a snapshot to kind of see, I can obviously look and see where, it's under on budget and we're over, but I think it would be helpful in a monthly snapshot to see, where are the real discrepancies coming in,
Yes,
good or bad.
sounds good.
I'm also very happy that your Sage implementation is going on. Not only are you guys happy in the central office, we are all very relieved as well.
Yeah.
To see the numbers match, that's nice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
There is no miscellaneous line item.
I tried to squeeze in April's number in there, but we're still working some things out, but yeah, it's just, it's the first 2 months, there's still a lot of the learning curve there, so, but,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
All right, excellent report. School report, Mr. Bridges.
All right. Well, hello and good evening, I shall say. It's weird not being able to see everybody's face. So
Right.
if something goes awry, just let me know, shout out, and I will start. So this is the board update for May 19th. In the 2 weeks since the last board update, our students have began participating in CASP, our state testing for the year. But we still have some great things going on around our campus. Our first and fourth graders were introduced to their new robots. We have Dash, the little blue Star Wars guy there. In our Ozobots, which our first graders are down below tracing lines, and the robot will follow the lines. So it's always great to get technology in the hands of our younger students. And as you'll see from the 2 videos that I will show you, they have a blast.
Wait, Jimmy. Okay, give it to you. Okay, then I'm coming your way.
In this next video, this young man is explaining how his robot works to Mrs. Merlette.
So you do this, like this. I'll show you. Like this. You put the sticker.
Now show me on the desk.
And then watch. And then this is how you make it faster. You push it a little hard.
So again, they are way more tech savvy than we are. They pick this up in 2 seconds and they have a blast. So thank you to Miss McAllister for giving this opportunity to our little kiddos. And next slide, our middle school band elective had another impromptu performance. Mr. Sachs created an opportunity for his band students to perform live in front of the other students. What's great about this is that this was right before our 5th graders got instruments in their hands for the first time. So it was exciting for them to see what they are going to be able to participate in as we move into next year. And they are able to choose the band elective if they choose. And I have a short video. And what's great is Mr. Sachs is always worried about whether or not he'll have an audience. But what's great is pretty much every single grade level, every class jumps at this opportunity to get out there and give the performers an audience and to practice, have their class practice being an audience. And we had our two big events, or not big events. So we had at our STEAM day or STEAM night, we had auctions. And this is some of the outcomes from our auctions. We had another round of Dean for the Day. Mrs. Merlette does a great job of providing those students upper left-hand corner. They helped with the TK. They went in TK and helped monitor and work with our transitional kindergartner students. They went out to recess in the upper right-hand corner, and they were in charge of the raffle cart for the day. So they were blasting music. The young lady has a tutu on. They all had badges, and they spent a Friday being dean for the day. So nobody wants to be the chancellor for the day, but they all want to be Mrs. Merlette. And down below, we had our auction winners they had the opportunity to have donuts with Champ. And what was great about that day is that both Mrs. Merlette and Mr. Bridges attended donuts with Champ, but Champ still arrived. So the question is, who is Champ? That will always be the question, because we never know. And Wellness Wednesday. So this week, our Scholar Academy team and Miss Gretchen provided an opportunity for our students to practice some positive talk, kindness, and self-help. I'll play the video there.
Take 10 deep breaths. Take 10 deep breaths. Take 10 deep breaths. I'm gonna win the pack of chips. Wait, what? Put your marker on there. Oh, now you had some. Oh, you see the markers? Bingo. Well, it was Miss Jane. The markers? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we need some.
Again, I've got to thank our Scholar Academy team and Miss Gretchen for providing this opportunity. That table, that ping pong table, is not used for ping pong. It's used for this. And it's always full of kids. They're always creating something that they can take with them as they go back into their classroom and leave for the day. Again, it's really important that we have these opportunities for our students, along with that academic piece as well. And speaking of academics, CASP. So I'll be really quickly with CASP because I know Dr. Henry probably has like 4 or 5 slides on CASP testing. Last week, our 5th and 8th graders participated in their science state testing called the CAST, C-A-S-T. And our 6th graders completed the ELA. And this week, our 3rd through 8th graders all participated in some type of CASP. Our 6th graders finished up their math, and the other grade levels started their ELA. Again, it's a process, but our kids are out there giving it their best, and that's all we can ask. And that's all we tell them is, try your best and do your best work, and things always work out, and we'll be proud of you. Whatever comes of it. So that is all I have. So I will stop sharing. Are there any questions? No questions. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. Okay, Dr. Henry.
Yes.
Your cue is a nice cue up from
And I
Mr.
do not
Bridges
have
there.
5 slides about anything.
5 or 6 slides, I heard.
No, this is very brief
All testing all day.
because we are spending a lot of time on testing. But, so I wanted to start with our multiple intelligences, and so a few things that are happening that are not testing that really stood out to me. One was our math facts PE. One of our PE teachers asked all, and I'm on these emails, all the grade levels of math teachers, what math problems are you working at these grade levels? And then did a math fact review PE where there were, you'll see, one of them was cones with numbers on them. And then the kids ran to the cones with the correct answer to see like who was doing it. There were whiteboards involved, there were relays where they had to answer questions. And to me, you know, I spend a lot of time looking for the multiple intelligences in our classrooms and how we do things differently. And I was like, math facts PE, that is incredible. So I wanted to share that with you. I was sent a few videos and pictures of it. You'll see some pictures on the next slide. We also had, I thought this was really neat. Our professors sent us some photos of the champions using the Amplify curriculum, and students were really creating what was called a sky mural. So they're learning about, this is for first graders, they're learning about the horizon. So each group sat facing a different way to their backs outside. They sketched out the horizons. They went, and then the group separated based on, like, I was looking this way. They did bigger ones, they made a sky mural, and now they're tracking where the sun is at different parts of the day on the sky murals that they made of the horizon. That's first grade. It was amazing. So something that I also wanted to share. And then for CASP review, we did several CASP trainings with our professors. We shared with them a lot of tools that are out there, released questions, of anchor essays that they can share with the student. Like, this is an example of an essay that got a perfect score in all 3 areas. This one got a 2 in grammar. And so we really shared with them, and we set expectations that they were to share at least 10 of the released questions. They were to go through the anchor papers, do the practice test. But then they just blew my mind, bringing in the multiple intelligences. So in one room, we saw the CASP Amazing Race. And so it was a whole game of the Amazing Race that the kids did during their review. There was a CASP circus in 4th grade and I actually have all the packets. I take them when I go into their classrooms. Can I have a copy, please? And where the students would answer do their spiral standards review, and then they would go to the station, stand on 1 foot, or play this musical instrument, or do different things to keep it fun and engaging. And then there was also a sports themed all-star CASP. So our professors are amazing, and they can even make state summative assessment review fun. So I was thrilled to see that. Here are some of the pictures that you can see. The rest are coming. They're slow, but show them on my screen. So we have we got the CASP circus. Should I try it again? Let's see. Let's go back, and there they are. Okay, so you can see the cones with the numbers. Where students were answering math problems and running to the correct cone. On the bottom left, you see the sky, the horizon crew, the different first graders in groups, mapping out the different parts of the horizon, the CASP Amazing Race. And that multiplication mix-up was an example of a question to move on to the next station. They really were complex problems. So that's 4th grade. You've got the CASP circus, and there's the cover of the packet that the students were using as well. And then on the top right, that's also the sky horizon when they went back into the classroom, developing the sky mural. We're working hard. We're full steam ahead, working on our full steam ahead summer program. So our first round of invites were set out based on assessment scores. We still have some spots to fill. So we are analyzing the data, and we are going down one more level to extend the invites to students who score what we call early on grade level. So what that means is if I am a 2nd grader and I'm now at the end of my 2nd grade year, but my assessment results show my progress as a second grader in the second month. So I'm early on I'm on grade level, but I'm testing early where I should be testing at the end of the second grade level in reading and math. So we're the first round of invites were students that were one or more grades below. So if I'm a second grader, I was testing first grade level. And then now we're gonna go into kids on grade level, but scoring towards the early end of it. Those are the dates for our summer program, just up there for reference. Our ESY extended school year for our Scholar Academy students, and then our full STEAM Ahead program.
Are you seeing the interest in the program as much as it was last year?
Well, it's hard for me to gauge as much as it was last year, but I remember it was right when I came. It was probably my first week. In fact, it'll be a year, May 24th. So right about now. And I remember last year, they also expanded it to early on.
It's about the same.
So I think, yeah, so it's interesting that we do have a lot of families that are interested, and even those that are like, well, I hope my student gets an invite. And
It's kind of an odd thing to wait for.
But we do. We have a lot of families that are excited to stay with OPA throughout the summer. We do have the full STEAM activities that are very hands-on, offered by both the Boys and Girls Club, but our professors that we hire also bring STEAM into their classroom as well, along with those core academics, so.
And last year you did open it up to everybody at one point. Do you think you'll do
I
the same
think
this
we
year?
still just left it as early on. We never actually got to those students who were at grade level last year.
The feedback that I received,
If I remember, I think we went to this level last year.
Oh, I could have sworn you opened it up to everybody just because the parents.
I think we
had
might have at
concerns
the end had a
Just to
few
fill the seats, I think.
slots, and we left
That's why-
like kind of a few, like kind of the last few who had been, kind of requesting if we had openings, and I think Paul, you're right, I think we let a few additional families in, but I think as far as the test scores, I think we just went down to the early on for the mass invite.
Are you planning on doing the same this year?
If we have open seats, then I think we'll, maybe do a kind of a first come, first serve like we did last year to let additional families. It's a little hard because, we try to make this geared towards providing that intervention for students who need it. So if you have a kid who's
above grade level.
and they're,
board.
they're kind of sitting in there with kids getting a whole bunch of review of that grade level's activities, it's tough. So we're kind of looking at how we can even split the groups maybe between early on and those who are below grade
It makes
level.
it hard for the professors as well, when the program is geared towards really reviewing the core standards of the grade level and then closing those gaps to bring students up to grade level standards.
So how do you, after they're done with this, is there a metric or something that you test that shows that they've improved exponentially?
So I know she's gonna jump in, so just
I
let me try and then you jump in, okay? So we had a lot of conversations looking at that from last year. The issue with the iReady data from last year was when the students took, so I'll use my second grade example. So I took the iReady at the end of first grade. And then I do full STEAM Ahead, and then I do baseline. The baseline that I took was now on my they were second grade, right? They're going into third grade. The baseline is now third grade standards baseline, not the second grade standards that they scored lower in. So it was two different tests. So we are working with iReady to get, we have to do it before all the kids roll into their new grade level in the system. So what we're going to be doing is we have the final trimester iReady, which are going to be given, the window opens June 1st until the end of the year. The professors have to do that. And then we're going to keep the window open. So my second grade student who is scoring below will take another second grade. We're adding a fifth assessment because we don't want it to be the same.
Right.
So that'll be a fifth assessment. We do a baseline in the beginning, but that's the next grade level. And then we do a end of first try, second try, third try. That's 4, and then this summer group. So then hopefully next year we will have some better data for you.
Yeah.
We were trying to make it work, but because it was apples and oranges, it wasn't working. We weren't able to get that.
But it's a great, I mean, I'm glad that we're able to do something to
Yeah.
measure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Data's good. I also wanted to share a little bit about the STEAM robots, but I'll take a different spin so I'm not so repetitive. So the blue robots that Ms. Chancellor Bridges shared, those are called Dash robots. We actually, our STEAM teachers have been meeting with Orange County Department of Ed and found out that Orange County Department of Ed has a full room of resources that schools can check out. Who knew? But by going to some meetings, they found out. So we signed our life away and we borrowed all of these Dash robots. When Chancellor Bridges showed you the video, you saw the robot moving. But if you look at that bottom right corner, what you didn't see is she is programming that robot to move with an iPad. So that piece, I think, makes it even more spectacular. They program, they learn the coding of what it does. Then you also saw the Ozbots. They're already programmed, so the students draw lines and then the Ozbots will follow them. And then we have put it in order that are really geared toward TK and K, so we can have robots in the hands of all grade levels. And these are, I haven't seen them yet, they haven't come in yet, but they're robotic critters. So can't wait for that. But that is our goal. And we've been really proud of our STEAM program this year. They've done amazing things. And then finally, we have our last Thinking Maps training, May 20th. So that's this week. I know you've heard a lot about it, but it really has been a big focus of ours this year. Thinking Maps are like thinking tools that our teachers, our professors can use and help students to stretch their thinking. But even more than that, they are going to be the foundation of our new writing program that we are putting in place for next year. So where we are right now is finalizing our Thinking Maps training, and the professors are using them in the classroom. This last piece is really the start of the writing program. So now that they've learned how the students can organize their thinking and information, how does that translate into writing? So they're going to get that first step, and that'll help set the foundation for next year when we bring in our right from the beginning. We're going to start with narrative writing, and then the following year, expository and informational writing. And then also we're in the process, because we do want to sustain this. It was all from our Educator Effectiveness Block Grant funds. So none of this was all given to us, but it was a 3-year plan. So we're bringing in, and hopefully I'm trying to get 8 trainers in different grade spans, 4 for each site, that can help support if we get new people, if people need additional support. We weren't able to train our instructional aides this year, but we want to make sure they're trained next year by our trainer of trainers. So really to help sustain the program, so it's not a one and done. It truly is building capacity of our own people. And that's all I have. No 5 slides about casting. I will say it is going very well. The site started with different ones. SOC started with the ELA, SV started with science. They did that because their professors requested it. In what order, and so wherever they started, we're about 2 weeks in, a week and a half in, they're about 98% on track, and then they just have to finish. The rest of the tests will probably go about another week and a half. So far, so good.
I do have one comment about the CASP. I don't know if it was just this me speaking as a parent. The way, I mean, like we got an email from Noel's teacher saying, or professor saying, we're going to send something to you, and please read it, but don't tell your kid about it. And then it was a sealed envelope. I don't know. And in the envelope, I opened it, and it was like please write a letter for your son to read it when they I mean, I have nothing to compare because I have only one kid, but I was super impressed and super glad that you guys. I mean, hopefully many professors do, all of you guys do it, but I was really impressed with that. It felt like. I don't know if Noel was happy that I wrote that letter for him, but I'm sure many kids were very excited to see. It's a big surprise, and if they were nervous about it, it would help them. So I think that's really commendable that you guys do that. Thank you for that.
they've been very, very creative with the support, with what they're bringing in for reward time, even after a lot of hard time. Ms. Lukeroth and I, we have walked the classrooms. We've been there, for support when the students are testing, but not only are we there to troubleshoot, we're also there, Dr. Canan's been there as well, but we're also there to kind of cheer the kids on
I only get to fix
also.
computers.
And really see what they're doing. So because we've signed these security affidavits and we're allowed to go in and kind of make sure it's going in, their students really are doing it wonderful.
I just have to say, yes, the kids were excited when they got their letters.
That's awesome.
They were so excited. They were all reading them and just big smiles and
Yeah.
it was wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very smart idea and, very personal in nature, and you guys allowed us to be in the classroom, even though we were not in the classroom. So if professors are watching, thank you. If not, please convey our thanks to them.
That's cool that they did that.
Well, you don't know what Paul actually wrote in there.
And I do know that every kid got letters.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Every single kid.
in the grade level,
In the grade
in the
level.
grade level that did that, we made sure, and they made sure
That's
that
cool.
every student had a letter to.
Yeah, because you don't want it in one classroom,
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
grade level, yeah. It's great.
Okay.
And that was their first time testing for that grade level.
Oh, that's so cute.
Now the bar's set.
Yeah.
The bar said, you better come on, second grade next year.
Well, he knows now.
Yeah. Second grade is one for that.
Second grade, he wants a car.
Yeah, you have a high,
All right, thank you for that. Any questions or comments for Dr. Henry? Okay. Operations update, Mr. Barley.
Right. It's difficult to follow Dr. Henry.
Oh.
She makes curriculum.
7 slides.
You don't have any
It is.
slides on passive testing?
He has 8.
He has 8.
All right, so this is an overall operations update. We'll go through a few things. Campus improvements is on everybody's mind, a lot of planning. We have a huge spreadsheet we're working on. Just gonna highlight a few things you can read yourself. We've got the OPA innovators that Dr. Fernan is leading. That has to do with the furniture, right, that you've heard about in the classrooms. Our plan is to do, these pilots on each of the campuses. And then what I'd like to do, if we can get it accomplished, is do repainting and carpeting in those rooms. So we have a whole look of what they'll look like in advance of doing it across both campuses. So
Smart.
that's our plan. Curb appeal, you heard about front landscaping. We did a walk actually with Capo on yesterday, on the 17th. And
Like a month ago.
18th, yeah. And talked about our plans, kind of overall the entire campus, and got a lot of positive feedback and some approvals to move forward with things. We always keep our authorizers in the loop of any changes that we're planning, which include, we're looking at shade structures, shade sails, those big triangles you've seen before, fencing at the SOC campus. We've already completed an SV. Playground equipment, we need some upgrades at both schools. Concrete, asphalt, blacktop, slurry repainting, all that good stuff. The courts, just to make it bright and new and fix some, cracks in the asphalt and some, areas that we should be fixing. Artificial grass, we have some at SV, looking at it for SOC as well in certain areas. And then removing the containers that I talked about last month.
So on the external, the playground areas, maybe, as we progress through that, we should work with Dr. Henry to see if he can bring in MI for the playground as well. Because there is so many challenging playground equipment that's no longer the slides and the seesaws from the past.
Right.
And like you literally can get the kids to be learning something when they're playing.
Right.
So something for you to consider.
Kind
as
of
you guys do
flipping
your
the learning
research.
while they're
Yeah,
playing,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun too. It's like so many challenging playground equipment right now. It's super cool and
That's great.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Rubber playground flooring, we have some of that on the SOC campus. We're looking into that. Signage, maybe some new marquees, looking at electronic, possibly down the road. Outdoor seating areas, improving those. Exterior paint, banners. We've added the handball walls at SB, but I'd like to be able to install some at SOC because those went away at one point in the past. Umbrellas, PE equipment sheds, so we've, just been looking at all the different things we can do. It's a long laundry list. Not all of it's gonna happen this summer. I wanna just let everyone know, we really wanna do it over. It'll take a year to get everything done, because we need approvals. We need to work with a lot of vendors to get it done.
And some of them need ADA, like the playgrounds,
Yeah.
anything that we're doing with shade structures or playgrounds need actually architectural approval and through the state with ADA requirements, so those may take even a little bit longer.
Do you have a sense of when the model innovative classrooms might be done?
Hoping by the fall, but there's still little supply chain issues that everyone knows about, especially with furniture and stuff like that. But we're hoping to have the model classrooms done like October, November, so that the other teachers can have a couple of months to see them, so that we can order for the end of next year and be able to have them all in place over the summer for the rest.
Yeah.
Who's gonna get the model classroom?
So those teachers who volunteered to be part of the innovator committee and actually come to the committee meetings and spend the time and research all the furniture and all of that. So they get to have the model classroom. So we have about 11 teachers total between the two sites. It's all grade levels that are represented. So we wanted to make sure we had, first grade teachers and seventh grade teachers and different subject areas. So we basically kind of have everything covered, and then they also had to agree to completely declutter their classrooms and get rid of all the crap that's everywhere, which is a good thing.
Yes.
And pack up all of their classrooms and have them ready in the summer for David to come in and, do paint carpeting. And they have to sit through a lot of meetings of hearing about furniture, and they had to design their right now they're designing their own classrooms with all of our different things that we are using, looking at. So they have 2 weeks to design their dream classroom, and then basically we're gonna kind of look at what we're gonna do. So there'll be kind of different examples of things that teachers can choose from, but all sort of under the same color scheme and under some different requirements, so that we can move furniture from room to room. Like if you're a first grade, we need an extra desk. In a third grade classroom, it's not gonna be completely different. So there's some parameters.
Standardization around
But they get to be very creative, turning cabinets, instead of having our regular cabinet doors, having cabinets with plexiglass doors so the kids can write on them like whiteboards, or having, different types of walls or different seating, and having, soft seating areas or movable, flexible furniture. So
My goal is, once we have the pilot classrooms as well, is to really talk about what does instruction look like with this innovative furniture, because if we bring all the innovative furniture in and the teachers are just doing what they've always done, then, but we do have great people on the committee, so it's going to be about then highlighting and maybe even making some demonstration classrooms with walkthroughs and things.
So that's what we're kind of planning, is having them have those classrooms, start learning how to teach in those classrooms. And then, kind of the next spring, being able to have teachers come in and, and observe in those classrooms, be able to see the furniture, but also be able to see them teaching, be able to see the technology that's being used, because we're gonna upgrade a lot of the different technology and things. So, so really just kind of have those as model classrooms where teachers can come in and say, I want, gosh, that setup looks perfect for me. I love having, a small group table in the back and stadium seating, because I have a lot of kids that like to stand up, or wobble seats or whatever, and they kind of figure out what's gonna fit for their particular classroom.
Boardroom is also part of the pilot.
Of course, we're gonna have
We all
wobble
get
seats.
moved.
That's right, there we go. There we go.
Touchscreen.
Exactly.
I'll have whiteboard tables and the walls
Exactly.
all are gonna be plexiglass, so you're doing that.
Because this is such a major investment, right, and transformation, is there any type of, I don't know if ribbon cutting is the right thing, but once those are set up, not waiting for all of it to be done, but to kick it off, this is what we are now?
Yeah, we'll definitely
Yeah.
have a lot of
Make a big
kind of
deal.
showcase, even with parent, we were talking about teachers walking through, but even having, parents be able to come in and see, and especially for,
Our authorizers,
Our authorizers
everybody,
come in and
because it'll be
really
like
show
a
it.
demonstration room.
Yeah.
It's exciting, super exciting.
I mean, we're working with them, and then we're looking at different we've kind of narrowed it down to 2 different vendors. We went through and kind of researched between a bunch of them. And we wanna make sure that we can piggyback off of a bid that's already happening with, kind of a big school district. So we've narrowed it down to 2 different vendors to utilize that we can use piggyback bids with, so we don't actually have to go out and go through a whole year-long bid process for it.
Can you tell this is one of Dr. Kernan's
It's-
favorite
I don't even
committees
like
ever?
talking about this.
All right, we'll continue on. Facility, so our core here, we've been selected by Orkin as a pro bono Vital Clean. They'll do it, they have a new product that they selected us as a nonprofit, so that's exciting.
What is that for?
That's for both schools.
Is that for pest control? What is that?
It's actually, it's cleaning, extra cleaning, so disinfecting, all that kind of thing, so it's a cleaning program, to be honest. Yeah. They added it to their suite of services, yeah.
They're testing it for what? To get feedback or?
No, it's just, it's
To see if you grow a second head.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
So we'll learn more about it. It's gonna happen over the summer.
It is not a test bed, it is
No.
a donation.
It's a donation,
Yeah,
it's
it's
pro bono.
There's
There it
always
is.
strings attached somehow, so.
Well, Mr. Barley doesn't fall for strings.
It's free.
No, yeah, exactly. There's
Um,
never a
We've been very fortunate with both honor societies, as was noted earlier on the agenda, with donations from them. And with SV, they contacted me this week and said they have some extra money in their coffers that they'd like to spend this fiscal year. And then SOC has contacted me with their new budget. They're planning some additional funds to support to support pieces of campus improvements. So we're excited about that. Critter control, that's at SV, has to do with our geese on the campus. Okay, it was a different kind of critter. Somebody mentioned critters before, right?
Those
Anyway.
are critter bots.
Yes, right. Let's see, we had a walk yesterday, HVAC, repair replacement, really at both schools. We have that continuing. What are all our fillers? We're looking at LK right now. It requires us to install at the one school electric, so it's a little bit more involved to do it right. So that's still continuing. I want to
Which
give you an
school is
update. It's at SV. Okay, then let's see, new equipment. We have been sharing equipment between the 2 schools, so now we're at a point where we actually have all the right equipment at each school, so you don't
Nice.
have to cart things back and
When you
forth.
say equipment, what?
Floor cleaners,
Okay.
some of the work that Luis and some of the guys do over the summer. We were hauling back and forth, they're fairly expensive, but now we've arrived and they can have all the equipment.
Do you have garden tools in both campuses, or you have to bring it in your Tesla?
No comment, okay. Let's see, and outdoor classroom gardens, they are becoming self-sustaining. That was one of our concerns, right? There are people watering them at SV. There's a garden club at SOC. I know one of the teachers is returning from leave who's really involved and wants to be involved in leading that. So we've had good success, all right? And I've handed it over to honor societies and staff. I'm out of
David
that.
has butterflies.
Yes, I'm out of that business. Okay. All right. Information technology, there's been a needs assessment that's for next year. We're meeting with Derek Arroyo and Liam tomorrow to talk about the needs assessment that you'll see in the budget upcoming in June. E-waste, there's been e-waste activity where we've given some things away that were outdated. Camera rehab, we're looking into some new options there, which actually ties to a grant that you'll see in a minute that we are applying for. And then exciting, we have barcoding going on for computers and for curriculum for,
The summer of inventory.
Yes, it is.
We're gonna find out what we have,
uh,
do it right.
and the grants I just mentioned, the kitchen grants, and now we've received, we just need to figure out how to spend it. I mentioned it last month. Computer technology grants, I'm knee deep in, as with Rosa, okay, Palomino, Ms. Palomino. I'm ensuring that we receive the money, okay, so that's the next piece of that, so.
But it's
not as-
155 grand. so you
Yeah,
wanna get-
not as easy as one would think to work with all these agencies I listed there to make sure that we receive the funds, okay?
There's your
.gov,
strings.
I just put .gov.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
security grants, I mentioned it already on the last slide. Just an update, Sage Intact, there's still, again, it's a year-long process. So Ms. Palomino has worked, fixed assets, year-end closing. She's on her first 2-month close. We're super excited. You heard about that before. The interim audit has started. On the HR side, Paylocity and Ease benefits, the portals implementations are nearing finalization. It's been a lot of work for Eva and HR. And then total compensation approach, we've been working on that for the June board meeting, looking at salary benefits and kind of that environmental survey scan in our market. And then enhanced benefits that, again, Eva and HR is going to talk about tonight on the agenda. And then recruitment and selection, we've been posting positions. We'll continue to. I think this is the first year where we don't have so many positions that we're looking for. So it's nice that we have really high retention this year. Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
First, bravo.
Thank you.
I'm just curious between curriculum and operations innovation. Have you taken a pulse of staff overall? I mean, we see a lot of cool, new, exciting things happening, and I love it. But also, I know like initiative fatigue, or there's like so much change at once. So the change management process, I know you all are on top of, but how is everyone feeling? Just excited and gung-ho, or a little bit like?
So we're a great team in that aspect because I'm the systems person, like, okay, slow down, like, how does this all fit? Amy loves to get things done really fast, let's get it done. I'm like, wait a minute. And we've had many conversations, and of course, David in there all the time about how does this all fit? And really moving forward, even for this summer and next year, we're going to have to be very intentional. We know people are tired right now. It's the end of the year, it's testing. It is natural, for this time of year. We are trying to be very mindful of that and what.
And also not tapping the same, like I think in the past, we've had we've tapped the same people over and over again because they're the volunteers. They're the excited ones who are always like, okay, if no one else wants to do it, I'll do it. But really trying to be kind of mindful of reaching out and trying to get different people involved, even if maybe they're not the ones who jump and try to volunteer, right? They're not the ones that jump and volunteer for everything, but saying, hey, we have this going on and maybe, you'd be great for this, to try to spread the wealth and build more capacity across the entire staff, so that we don't have those people who are totally getting burnt out because they're involved in everything all at once.
And I've tapped into not only staff members, but honor society. We're building really, I think, good relationships, and accomplishing some things, and also the school site counselors too. So there are a lot of different ways that we get anecdotal, feedback, kind of focus group kind of information, as well as just extra hands. And there are a lot of people just say, just give me things to do, and they'll go off and do it.
And Stephanie's been really good about, even with all of the professional development, I know we've even kind of pulled back and not done a few things because people were getting a little, kind of a little bit overwhelmed. And so, she's like she said, I just am like, let's get it done, I don't care. But she's gonna kind of look at
last thing. We, instead of doing like 3 full days, we broke up the thinking maps. It's generally a 21-hour training. Our teachers will be certified, but we've staggered them like by grade levels, so they each only go like an hour. So they, but they take time to practice in their classroom. And then the last, after Memorial Day, which is next Friday, the last Fridays in June are all for finalizing the new year.
Nice.
It's their time, their grades, they're filling in the assessment tracker, all of those little things. So this is it, this Friday, and we did that intentionally.
We actually planned the benefits open enrollment on the last Friday when there was not a PD on purpose. So they were like, okay, it's not gonna be too much, but people have time to think about it.
But people are tired, it's the end of the year, so.
And we're trying to be
be
mindful
cognizant
and
of that.
take things off.
What other questions?
We gotta keep the focus on how it's gonna make their lives better, right?
Yeah,
And I think if you focus on that, and then change for the sake of change is tiresome, I assume, but then if you'd say, this is gonna lead to a better outcome for your teaching, right? Your classrooms are gonna be better, you're gonna have kids who are engaged in multiple intelligences. And which is the truth in any case, but like, to the extent that you guys can communicate that, then people understand why we are changing. I mean, that's a big change fatigue issue. Like people don't understand why we are changing. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess until everybody's into it, for the most part, it's more, there is a level of the like, this, I'm at capacity at some point.
Understood,
So,
understood. Yeah, it makes sense,
That's right, yeah.
And, we had a great conversation at one of our meetings, with our administrative, we meet every Tuesday in our admin touchdown, and we had a conversation about our chancellors and our deans are really keeping an eye out. And, for anyone who may need some mental health support, a break, they really know their staff and they're really good at that. We had the conversation about all of us as an organization, kind of keeping that eye out for each other as well, for that kind of mental health, or when people are at capacity and just need to kind of step back for a moment. So it's healthy. And not only are the admin doing it for the professors, and again, we have some great counseling, the team, like just we just had OCDE, Ms. Lukaroth helped organize this with the SOC team, but it was for both schools about self-care. And they came in and did a whole mental health piece 2 Fridays ago.
Yeah.
2 Fridays
We
ago.
had a lot of staff members who
And
attended.
that was voluntary, because again, we didn't want to be like, one more thing, you have to do this, you have to, right? So it's like, if you have to do self-care. So it was kind of like, it come and the turnout was great, and there was a lot of really great reflection happening during that.
Yeah, a lot of good feedback.
And speaking of that, speaking of pushing hard, I know, just by just throwing resources, we can get things done sooner. But that should never be a constraint, meaning like if you need more resources, please come to us, right? I mean, like we saw our balance sheet, we saw how much we have. So I understand you can't make a baby in 1 month with 9 mothers, I understand that. But having said that, I think like next year is the first time we're gonna have a full year with hopefully without COVID. And there's gonna be a bunch of excitement, and to the extent that we can kind of lean forward during summer and do some of the work that you're trying to do without the distraction of kids running around or having to work around schedules. And if you need additional resources, I bet you any of us will be willing to commit to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are gonna try to do a lot
Yeah.
during the summer, because it is a little bit easier to get stuff
Yes,
done
it sure
when there's
is.
not parents and kids and, everything going on.
We'll give him the weekend after he comes back from summer. We can have the weekend back.
I think we'll hit next year, the ground running, and we'll see, there'll be more energy, right, from parents and engagement. And I think we can enlist the help of.
Just for the
Quite a few of us came on last year, so that although we hit the ground running, there was a lot of learning.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And really learning the culture and what needed to happen, and I think we're in a really good place right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously, David, that tire thing doesn't apply to you, right?
Yeah, so he can have his weekend back after he comes back from summer.
Well,
That's
I
other
mean,
people.
I was talking to David, and I was concerned about how much facility stuff there needs to be done with HR and finance underneath, and how is he gonna make this all happen? And he knows I'm concerned about
Thank you.
you not
The
getting
great
burnt out,
thing
right?
is, we have individuals who are stepping up, sitting behind me, okay, and have taken on those roles. And they own those now, so it's a lot less for me to do in finance and human resources over time. So I'm committed to, we can get this done. It will take everybody to get that long list done. And, again, it'll be over a period of time. But our goal is to have these 2 schools looking their best, updated, before we enter into any other school.
See, and that's the other thing, is like delivering on our promises, right? That's important. So if we do need to have resources, even parent resources or
If
whatever.
I see we're not on track, we'll be talking about it, and then you all will be hearing about it, and we've got to, look at it differently, but.
So David, what kind of utility coordination is happening, like Molten Ranch, Molten Miguel Water?
Right.
Kind of thing? I mean, I know they've had resources as well to come out and kind of look at our water usage. I see our water bill's not insignificant.
Right.
And so, but they've got some things in place, so I see artificial turf on the menu, which is great.
Yeah.
And they've got some subsidies
See
that
if
are
they have some
available.
programs that we might qualify for.
Yeah, they have
They do.
nonprofit programs.
Yeah.
Say what?
They have nonprofit programs.
Yeah.
They have nonprofit programs, they have analysis where they can deploy some devices to help where
Usage,
usage is
where
happening
usage,
and why and what you can do, and sometimes
Yeah.
there's low flow toilets that are available, and just to become aware of,
Yeah,
because obviously you're not tired, it's not the end
no,
of the year.
and I think those
So
are
you got
great
some more-
suggestions,
Yeah.
and we need to employ those at the right time. So we can take advantage of it and get help, really, from the expert.
Well, and I think what I see here is you love to be on a winning team, and there's been a lot of effort to get to the point where, we're kind of really doing well. And so I feel like people are gonna wanna participate in that.
Yes.
And so I feel like, you have a mediocre level of participation, and then there's kind of like, man, look at these folks are just, they're in it to win it, you know what I mean? They've got all this stuff and they're really moving and they're very energized and it's really positive, and, I wanna be on that.
That's
I
a
wanna
good
be
time
part,
to
why,
join.
why I'm not,
Yeah.
but when I look at Oregon and I'm saying, I'm not surprised that they say, hey, we picked you. I know why, and I appreciate it. And thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
So David, one of the things you mentioned up there was looking at enhancing like our insurance and our benefits for the employees. Are you
Yes.
looking at additional like employee assistance programs or things to add more well-rounded?
Yes, so I'm not gonna steal Eva's thunder tonight.
Okay.
I'm gonna share and answer those questions for
Yes.
you.
Okay,
Do you have
perfect.
6 slides on this?
10.
Okay, perfect. I
But
think that's
that will
important.
be answered.
And we're even looking at the whole family, including people's pets.
Oh, there you go.
You're gonna find out more.
Don't give it away.
I am very
Okay.
excited.
Anybody got any additional questions or comments for Mr. Barley? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Mr.
All right,
That was my favorite. The wet motion.
that brings us to items for action. Approve some new OPA board policies, including board policy 113, school websites, policy 1114, social media. I may have said 113, it's 1113, 3 ones. And 1114, social media, 3260, student fees, 5125, student records. These board policies have been created to ensure that OPA is compliant with California Educational Code and other relevant laws and regulations. All current OPA board policies and listing of mandated policies are currently being reviewed, and necessary additions or revisions will be brought to the board prior to the start of the 2022-23 school year. It is recommended that the board of directors approve action item A, numbers 1 through 4. May I have a motion, pretty please?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Kagu. May I have a second?
Second.
Ooh, I feel like I was Director Agarwal there.
That's all you.
Base runner. Okay, somebody gonna present on this or talk about it?
Really, we're just making sure that we have all of the required policies and that they meet ed code. What we did have a student records policy, we completely redid it to make sure that it was done a long time ago. The other policies are policies that we've actually added, especially, now with a lot of using social media and the website for things. We wanted to make sure that everything was compliant. There's a lot of new ADA compliance and accessibility compliance rules around the website and social media. And so this board policy will, help to ensure that we're meeting all of those accessibility compliance mandates. We're already working on overhauling our website and making sure that's meeting all of those requirements, but then expanding that into our social media, which we're using a lot more at both sites to try to get the word out about everything that's happening. So, and then student fees, we didn't have a board policy on that in the past. It is a mandated policy to make sure that we are abiding by the rules and regulations around charging students fees for different things like field trips and supplies and things like that. And so that's really just kind of a compliance issue. And as the little blurb says, lucky you guys are going to get board policies throughout the summer to make sure that at the start of the next school year, we are completely in compliance with all mandated policies and that everything is up to date and that follows ed code. So there's gonna be more to come. I'm sure you're excited. I think we have about 15 throughout the summer, so So get your board policy
I
hats
love
on.
board policy. I actually read
I know
all of it.
it's Paul's favorite part of the board.
Actually, I actually have a couple of questions. So not about a specific.
First question is,
policy.
can we have more?
My first question is, how do parents know that there's a new board policy?
I mean, really, we post it on the website, and we do it through the board meetings. Any updates, we also have, and Ms. Lukeroth is working right now on, which is gonna come to you guys at the next board meeting, but our annual notice and our parent-student handbook.
Okay.
So normally when we update those policies, we'll put little blurbs either in the annual notice or the handbook that kind of has a very brief piece of what that policy is. And then normally it'll refer to the board policy that it's addressing. So every year, everybody gets that annual notice and then
And if there's something new, we'll embed it into our communications.
Okay.
For example,
kind of like the dress
The-
code that's gonna come out. I mean, we approved the dress code at the last board meeting. We just finally got the new
So
flyers and
okay.
things, and so tomorrow you'll get, parents are gonna get a whole bunch of dress code and new, vendors for the OPA wear information tomorrow. So we kind of try to mix it in if there's, new things that are coming up that are gonna affect students. Most of these are really more compliance pieces than things that are, actually specifically gonna change anything for students or families. But if there's something like the dress code, then we try to put it out in.
That was just his first question. He's got one.
Yeah.
I know.
So the second question is, social media. Do we have professional help? And I've gotten some notifications that the students are creating fake OPA Instagram accounts and using that for not so good things to do in addition to everything else. So do we have professional help to help us monitor these things? Or is it just the chancellors and?
I mean,
deans
as far
are
as,
looking
it's hard to really monitor because anybody can create an Instagram account. So that's more sort of a discipline issue. And so, usually the deans kind of, when they, and almost always we find out about them pretty quickly because kids blab very fast and can't
And they
keep a
have
secret.
relationship, our deans have relationships with
Relationships with
kids.
students and the teachers will
Okay.
find out about it. And so usually we kind of find out more, we find out pretty quickly through word of mouth and then sort of handle it that way, if it's something that's an inappropriate website.
As you guys are trying to build capability in the central office, that might be something you may wanna put into some kind of role that they're supposed to be, they will provide support to the deans. Because this is not gonna go away, it's just gonna keep getting worse and worse and worse.
When as part of our new
student services.
student services does, we'll do it a little bit and then as soon as our new director of technology comes on, then it'll kind of be
I think
more of a
that-
joint
that's,
effort
yeah, that's
between
what
the two of
sort of
them.
where I was going, where there may be tools out there that are, that you can use for
Like
monitoring, right, proactive monitoring, and
Yeah.
let the deans do what they're supposed to do and not like have to
Yeah.
monitor people's, okay.
And we also, we have our filtering, our light speed that actually notifies us whenever anybody, we get 1,000 notifications a day, but notifies us whenever any students
On our,
putting anything on our device or on our internet that is inappropriate. And a lot of times they bust themselves out because they will try to put something up and it'll get flagged immediately and then we can, and then the deans and the chancellors, they get those notifications and can take care of it right away. So that is a good thing about our filtering and security system is, I even see all the little notifications, although I have them routed to a separate email now because I don't really want to. But it's like anytime a kid even puts a bad word in there, we get a notification about it.
That's it, no other questions, thank you.
I have a handbook question.
Mhm.
We don't hand out handbooks anymore, right? We just do it online so that it's always updated.
No, we put them in the student planner. We do update them online, but they are part of the student planner every year. So everybody gets that initial copy with all physical copy.
Yeah.
It's a physical planner.
I just have a question. Cost wise, does it make sense to do that when we can just point them into a website that they could look it up.
We use it as the planner for the,
And environmentally too, I mean, just something to
I think
consider.
from a communication perspective, to make sure we're covering all bases
Yeah.
and say people
It's
receive
kind of an
information in
appeal.
different
Yeah.
ways.
And the planner,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of our
Use that
teachers
planner.
use the
Yeah.
planner for
Yeah.
students to write their assignments, especially if, you know,
Yeah.
if students
And we're,
are having a hard time keeping up, it's a good, some teachers use it as a conversation tool
Yeah.
between the parents, because a lot of the parents initial the planner each night.
Yeah.
So I mean, the planners, pretty much every school still uses the planners.
I love the planner idea, I was thinking about.
We
this
just,
as well.
we have to, yeah, we have to.
We embed it in there.
We embed it in it, so it really
So it's
doesn't
nothing.
cost much extra,
Yeah.
it's, you know, not even that, it's a couple extra cents for the extra for the planner, so it usually comes with like 30 pages you get to put in yourself, so that's basically our handbook,
Okay.
and then we have like the MIs, we're gonna put in the.
I'm working on more curriculum instruction, so they are going to have thinking map templates that as the students learn them, like, so I will use when I am trying to compare and contrast something and I see those keywords, I know which thinking pattern I should go into. So we're gonna put those tools, we have the MIs in there, we have the depth and complexity gate icons that are also in there. I'm working on with our EL TOSA getting sentence starters for more conversation, you know, the
Public speaking.
public speaking where our students can use them, they can flip to that page for academic dialogue. So we're
We're
adding
also
some of
putting the
those
champion
pieces.
profile in there so that everybody, so everything that we have kind of common language around in the planner and then our handbook, so it's kind of an all-in-one that we would have to get anyway for the planners, and then we just try to kind of put everything else in
I
there
love
that
the
we need.
planner, I mean, I love teaching kids how to do that at a very young age, so. It's fantastic.
All right, anybody got any additional questions for?
And then I did, Director Agarwal made a suggestion that on the board policies that we underline the headers for each section. And normally, because we pulled them off of Gamut or the CSBA website, they're not underlined, so I went through and underlined, that's the only change
Just,
that I made.
well, and then superintendent and,
I fixed that, yeah,
Okay.
that was just one.
Yeah, there was some that said
paragraph
superintendent, just making
Because we
sure
pull them
the
off of
verbiage
the
is
CSBA website where we make them, and then we adapt them, and I don't know how, usually I do find replace and skip that paragraph.
Alrighty then, so we have a motion and a second, any additional questions or comments about this before we move to a vote? Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote, Director Agarwal,
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye, Director Kagu.
Aye.
Director Smith.
Aye.
And Director Travis.
Aye.
Excellent, move forward to item B. Approve Education Protection Act plans and resolutions. One, Education Protection Protection Act, EPA plan and resolution for OPA Saddleback Valley, and the same for South Orange County. The Education Protection Account, keep saying, yeah, Education Protecting Account provides local education agencies or LEAs with general purpose state aid funding pursuant to section 36 of Article 13 of the California Constitution. The EPA funding is a component of an LEA's total LCFF entitlement. Is calculated in the principal apportionment. All public schools are required to approve how funds received from the Education Protection Act are spent at an open public meeting. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve action item B, numbers 1 and 2. May I have a motion, pretty please?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Director Agarwal. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Smith. Somebody going to talk about this? Somebody got 7 slides for us on this? No?
We're like, it's a mandated thing, you guys approve it every year, it's just a little chunk of money that is set aside out of our LCFF, and we normally will, we kind of, use it for things that are ongoing every year, because we
We
know
have to.
that it's coming every year.
Got it. Okay. Any additional questions or comments from the board? All right, so we'll move to a roll call vote. Director Agarwal,
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye. Director Kagu.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Director Smith.
Aye.
Aye, and Director Travis.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. So we'll move to item C, approve 2022-23 bell schedule and instructional minutes. 2021 and 22 bell schedule. do we have should that be 2022, 23?
Should be 2022.
Okay, so
Sorry about
item
that.
1, 2022-23 bell schedule and instructional minutes for OPA Saddleback Valley and the same for South Orange County. Per California Education Code 46200 through 46208, schools must provide minimum minutes of instructional time based on grade levels. The proposed bell schedules and instructional minutes for each school site adhere to these minimum requirements. Pretty self-explanatory. Okay. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Director Smith. May I have a second?
Second.
Director Travis, thank you.
Beating everybody.
Pretty self-explanatory here. Who's going to talk about it?
These are basically our bell schedules, because we are still a K-8. We have kind of differences in requirements for the number of minutes between each grade level. Right now, and it has been always kind of the impact revolves around both the middle school and the grades 4 or 5. So grades 4 through 8 have a larger required number of minutes than other grade levels. They're 54,000 minutes. And so we have to kind of adapt our schedules now to both meet all of those different grade level requirements for minutes, but also the deans do a spectacular job of trying to fit in all of the recesses and lunches and non-core or specialty classes, not have everybody overlap, not have everybody on the playground at one time and make this giant puzzle piece. And so we are over currently in our minutes, really, for one, because we want to be able to have all of those specialty classes. We also need, our kids to have breaks during the day a little bit with recess and lunch and things like that. And we always keep a little bit of a cushion, because if for some reason, like last year when we had to close SV down for a day because of the smoke or different things that we have to do. Last year, we actually just went to virtual. But in the past, sometimes we've had to shut the school down for certain things. We want to have a cushion so that we don't have to add extra days in the summer. So we leave a cushion for that, as well as making sure that we're able to fit all of those things in, but still have the number of instructional minutes for our students. It'll shift around a little bit when we pull out the middle school, because we'll be able to have a little bit more flexibility for scheduling different things around in the elementary, and all of our elementary grades then won't be needing to meet those minutes, that minute requirement for middle school. But at the same time, we do want to make sure that our kids are still getting a lot of academic instructional time, but at the same time, still able to do all of those cool specialty things. So we do go over the minutes a little bit. And that's kind of why, if you notice, there's a little bit of extra minutes in there in the bell schedule. But we do meet all of those requirements and then have that cushion just in case we can actually, if we had to take a week off from school, we would have enough minutes in there to not actually have to place those days during the summertime.
And having a cushion is typical in all districts for that, so that you don't have to scramble or necessarily add on if it's some kind of short-term emergency. So just wanted to put that out there.
So this doesn't apply to David, right? He doesn't get more playground time.
He doesn't get more playground time.
Snow days, we use it for snow days.
We'd use this, if it snowed here, we'd use this for snow days, but here in Southern California, the most likely is fires and smoke and having to shut down because of the poor air quality.
Okay.
I have a question about that. So if we needed to, is there any rules against us going virtual if there was a smoky day or something like that? I mean, what are our parameters?
So right now, we can't flip the whole school to virtual we have to apply for a waiver if we were to go under the minutes. Because those virtual, we can't force everyone right now to go virtual without losing those minutes like we could in the past, unless there's some sort of, the public health director declares it a public health emergency and says we have to shut the school down. Or in case there was like some sort of other disaster where we had to shut the school down and we were told by the county we had to. If we just do it, we lose those minutes.
So I think I mean, I don't know what the right cushion is right now, but I see like up to 9-10% cushion. And I honestly, again, as a parent, yeah, keep them as long as they want to in school. But I guess as a couple, one is like, can they do things outside of school, or are the teachers having to spend that much time? So I don't think we're gonna update any of that, but I would love to get some kind of guidance particularly when we think about Bell's schedule next year, when we have an elementary school. What is that right cushion? Is that, not 10% cushion on 180 days is 18 days cushion. So unless you have 18 days of, I don't think it's going to be, so that's something to think about.
Yeah.
And our cushion is, and so the number of days is still 180 days. I think you guys, the contract says 180 days. So we're only giving 180 days. There's no cushion in the number of days. We only have cushion in the number of minutes. And so something for us to think about as you're planning the middle school, I would love to understand,
But it will kind of go down, so in order to have that time between drop off and pickup, with the middle school, because the middle school has more minutes, that will decrease the number of instructional minutes for our elementary school students.
And the
because
kindergarten
they
is
will pull off.
massive number of minutes of cushion as well.
Kindergarten is a sort of a different thing, so we do full day kindergarten, but the state only mandates us to do a half day kindergarten program. But it is instructionally, there's been a lot of studies that full day kindergarten is definitely, they're moving towards it for everyone, but right now those minutes haven't caught up. And so in order to accommodate schools that still have a half day kindergarten program, kindergarten is still only at 36,000 minutes. So that cushion really is because we have that full day kindergarten instead of half day kindergarten program.
Yeah, like I said, when we do the middle school planning and for elementary school, I'd love to get hey, here's what we looked into. Yeah, we have this much cushion, we think we could reduce this, it's gonna help us with the teachers, give them more time for them to do planning, the kids are gonna, I'm sure there's gonna be pushback from parents too, because now they have to pick up the kids earlier. So you guys can do all the balancing and come back and say, hey, this is what it makes sense. I don't know
We're
what.
still trying to look at that time differentiation between the two programs, so it's convenient for families
And to make sure,
get multiple children.
especially depending on where that middle school location is, to also make sure that parents have enough time to go between and it doesn't have any impact on parents not being able to pick kids up at both sites. So that'll kind of come as we're planning for next year, but it definitely will decrease the number of instructional minutes for the elementary, just because they won't have to meet those same requirements, and we'll have have to have that shrunken time for parents to be able to pick up at both sites.
Yep, I was trying to sign my kids up for overnight kindergarten, but
Raven's still trying to sign them up.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any additional questions or comments from the board before we move to the vote? All right, so we'll do a roll call vote. Director Agarwal?
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye. Director Kugu? Aye. Director Smith?
Aye.
Director Travis?
Aye.
All right, this motion carries. Approved purchase of iReady assessment licenses for math and ELA. An integral part of OPA's multi-tiered system of supports are our local iReady assessments for reading and mathematics. We use Ready Math as our curriculum for K-5. Therefore, the assessments and learning program are included in our adoption. We purchased the iReady assessments for mathematics grades 6 through 8 and reading K through 8 so that all grades can take the assessments 4 times a year as a baseline and at the end of each trimester. The assessments also include an independent learning module called My Path that students can use to build their skills in needed areas. The cost of $139,859.30 will be evenly split and reflected in the budget over 3 years, beginning with the 2022-2023 school year. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve action item D. May I have a motion, pretty please?
I make a motion to approve action item D.
Thank you, Director Travis. May I have a second? Second. Director Kugu, thank you. Okay. Not insignificant spend there, but I think we heard Dr. Henry talk about this a little bit before, which I think is brilliant, by the way. I love the idea about how getting good data over the summer and how we're able to use the tools that we have to get great information. That's really lovely.
But did you say that would require adding a fifth test and this one cost covers only the 4?
That's what we're currently using, so we're working with iReady. I don't.
We're working with iReady, they didn't say that it would cost us anything.
Yeah, that's what we
additional.
currently use. They'll just give
We'll
us.
suggest that.
We're, at this point, there's no
It's
extra
part of it, it's a
cost. We're
whole
just
program, so we can give as many, well,
assessments as we want.
a lot of schools just do 2 or 3 assessments, we give 4, it's basically, we're buying the program to be able to give the assessments when we wanna give the
We
assessment.
just have to program it.
But I like how you're being super thoughtful about saying, hey, I'm gonna hold on to those second graders where normally they would get converted over, hold on to them, keep that window open for additional assessments to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments from the board about this?
Our teachers love this program too, just to let you guys know. And the MyPath program that goes with it, that kids can kind of do independent work and work at their own level. And it basically uses their assessment results to determine exactly what work they're given.
And what they
Has
need to
been
work on to
huge.
reach the standard.
That's so cool. Love that.
So right before the assessments, the professors will, give incentives for them to go into the MyPath, which targets from their previous assessment, okay, this student needs to work on these standards or this skill. And it'll target with practice, and then when they meet it, the whole program adjusts.
And it's just something they can do at home. That's awesome.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. For the action item D. We'll go, any additional questions or comments before we move to a vote? Okay, let's do that. So Director Agarwal?
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye. Director Kugu? Aye. Director Smith?
Aye.
And Director Travis?
Aye.
All right, this motion carries. Action item E, approve 3-year adoption plan of SAVAS. Am I saying that right?
Sabbath, yeah.
SAVAS. My World Interactive Social Studies curriculum for grades 6 through 8. In the 2021-2022 school year, Open Middle School ELA and social services teachers participated in a paid pilot of My World Interactive Social Studies books published by SAVAS. Our K-5 teachers had already agreed to adopt the SAVAS curriculum starting this year. The middle school teachers agreed to the pilot. After a year of using the materials and meeting as a curricular team, the teachers have agreed to adopt SAVAS Social Studies for 2 more years. Total cost of $44,470.82 will be evenly split over 2 years, beginning with the 2022-23 school year, since we were given credit for the year 1 pilot and the materials already purchased. It's recommended that the Board of Directors approve action item E. May I have a motion, pretty please?
Make a motion to approve action item E.
Thank you, Director Agarwal. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Director Smith. All right.
Yeah, we don't really have a presentation, so when the previous year, when they were looking at social studies curriculum, the K-5 loved the SAVAS. 6 or 8 were kind of torn between the 2 schools, or they really didn't find one that everyone agreed on. There were pros and cons, maybe more cons to each. So instead of
And they were piloting 2 different curriculum, not SAVAS, they were
Yeah,
piloting National
2 other
Geographic and
ones.
TCI.
So they decided, hey, if elementary love it so much, we'll take a look at the materials. Let's do a paid pilot. And so they did the paid pilot. This year, they received training. And then there was a question more recently. So we brought a team together of all the middle school ELA social studies teachers. We looked at what they previously piloted, pros and cons. We looked at the SAVAS curriculum, pros and cons. We did a cost analysis. We did a materials analysis. So one of the previous ones, we could only have the books. We could only have online, no textbooks, no workbooks. If we wanted those materials, which our teachers use both, then we would have to do a 6-year adoption, which would put us out. So this one's only 2 years because we get credit for the current year, which will fulfill the 3-year. So we looked at all kinds of different pros and cons and thought it was important to go ahead and stick with this one for 2 more years, and then we'll reassess everything.
We actually already paid $41,000 for the pilot, and so we're getting actually 2 more years for the price of the first year.
Okay.
Because we already have materials, some of the books.
So one question for Ms. Palomino on this. These contracts, are they with OPA or with the individual schools?
The cost is with OPA, but we split them amongst for each.
So assuming that the middle school goes through, we'll be able to move these licenses to the third campus as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right, when we buy them now in the current year, we book them as a prepaid expenditure, so they'll sit in the balance sheet, you won't see them on the income statement at all.
But I'm more thinking
Okay.
from the vendor's perspective, when they sell us the license, they're selling us a license for 2 campuses. And now when we go to the third campus, are they gonna come back and say we need to buy for 3 campuses? Because the same number of students,
They're
right?
selling it to OPA. They're selling
They sell it to OPA, just as though, like, if we were Capo, they would
Like a
be selling
SUSD,
these
yeah,
to
okay. I just wanna
Capo
make sure.
Unified, and so we are able to distribute those
Yeah.
licenses. However, we swap licenses sometimes between the schools if we run out at one.
Yeah.
You know, we can kind of swap, because the numbers sometimes will be higher in a grade level at SV, and then it'll switch, and SOC will be higher in that grade level, so we can kind of utilize those back
Okay, I
and
just
forth
wanna make sure
between
that there's no
campuses.
additional cost that they even.
No.
Thanks.
Okay, great. So any additional questions or comments from the board? Before we move to a roll call vote? Okay, let's do that. So Director Agarwal?
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye. Director Kugu?
Aye.
Director Smith?
Aye.
Director Travis?
Aye.
All right, this motion carries and leads us to action item F, approved purchase of 500 student Chrome books for
No.
education, Chrome for education update licenses. Approved purchase of 500 student Chrome for education update licenses. To manage student-owned devices used on our campuses, each device needs a Chrome for education update license. This allows us to push out curriculum and educational apps, provide internet security and monitoring, and access to the Wi-Fi. This cost, $19,000, is budgeted and will be split $2,760 for 2021-22 and $16,240 for years 2022-23. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve action item F. May I have a motion, please?
Go ahead.
Director Kugu, thank you. Director Smith, would you like to or Director Travis, would you like to
Yes,
second?
I would like to
Thank you.
second, thank you.
All right, so as this is something we pay Alphabet for, I'm assuming? Paying Google for this $19,000, who are we paying for this?
We actually pay a third-party vendor, because you can't actually purchase straight from Google. So you go through, we're going through Promevo. They basically just vend the Google licenses. When we buy Chromebooks, they come automatically, these licenses come automatically with them, so we can manage the software, but for all of our student-owned devices, in order to have the management software, we have to buy the license upgrades separately. So it's about $49 a piece for those licenses. So this 500 should get us through the rest of this year. We just have a few that we needed to do for testing for the rest of this year. And then we'll get us through next year, likely actually through the year after. We never know though exactly how many students are gonna bring their own device each year, but it should definitely get us through next year.
And there's an expiration date on these?
There actually is, it's kind of a strange thing, so they last for the life of that type of device that they're put on. So if a kid brings a certain model of Samsung, it'll last for the entire time that student is using it on that device. It actually can transfer if there's another device that's exactly the identical make and model. That usually doesn't happen with student-owned devices, but it can. Otherwise, we need a new license each time. We have a new make and model of computer that a kid brings.
Is there any kind of limitation on that it's put, says, hey, you can't bring a new device every week or every month or?
I mean, so we've kind of talked about that in asking, so basically we'll put your first license on for a year since it's, it does cost us $50. And then say, if you break that one or you keep bringing us a new device, then, we'll ask you to pay $50 for additional
We have a
licenses
fee
throughout the
policy
year.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we can.
$10,000 fine.
$10,000 fine. Well, and really it is just basically, we'll put it on your computer once a year. but if you need it again, then you can either pay your $49 or you can use one of our devices.
There you go, perfect. Okay.
So we were providing that
Yeah,
option where they don't have to pay, by providing one of ours, or they can pay the $49, we'll give them another license and they can have us, we have 50 Chromebooks in a year if they wanna pay us, you know, all that money for all of this, for all of those licenses.
Okay,
I'm not worried about this, I'm just curious, unless there's a special need, like, is there a reason we don't just require them to use OPA issued?
I mean,
Chromebooks
Yeah,
on campus?
because they don't want the controls, I think is what I've heard in the past.
sometimes they don't wanna have that control as at home, like they wanna be able to
Kids wanna
use
watch
their,
YouTube.
their own device
Well,
at
they can
home.
still have their own device, to watch YouTube at home, it's not, it's for,
I mean, we could provide devices
Yeah.
for everyone,
But that's $500 Chromebook versus $50
Versus
management
the
software.
exact-
So that's still better for us if they bring their own device and we only pay $50 for it.
and a lot of kids like to have their own device on campus.
Historically. that's-
Especially some kids will be like, well, I don't want that, slow school Chromebook, even though ours are pretty much all brand new, but they still like to have their own, they can put stickers all over
we're
and.
thinking about like teachers giving help in the classroom, and if everything's standardized, it's
Yeah,
like,
that's probably
there's,
it.
I get there's pros and cons, I was just curious.
Chromebooks, luckily, that's why we use Chromebooks instead of allowing kids to bring, laptops and use all of those
Yeah.
things. Because no matter what manufacturer, the Chromebooks are all pretty standardized.
Right,
And so it's especially with the management software, like Derek and Liam can actually, they can they can remote in, they can see what's happening on the computers. So using the Chromebooks and having them managed makes it pretty easy and pretty standardized in itself.
All right, any additional questions before we move to a vote? Okay. So here we go. Director Agarwal.
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye. Director Kagu.
Aye.
Director Smith.
Aye.
Director Travis.
Aye.
This motion carries. Action item G, approve 2022-2023 Food Services Management, FSMC, agreement between OPA and Fresh Start Healthy Meals. OPA is entering into an FSMC contract with Fresh Start Healthy Meals, expanding the scope of services to include breakfast and lunch food services at both schools from July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023. This contract will better serve the growing demand for breakfast and lunch by students enrolled at OPA. It is recommended that the board of directors approve action item G. May I have a motion, pretty please?
And make a motion.
All right, Director Agrawal, thank you. May I have a second, pretty please? Second. Director Kudu, awesome. I'm assuming there's gonna be some taste testing going on, but, all right. So, anybody gonna talk about this? How's how's Fresh Start Healthy Meals doing?
Right. So we are going to tag team on this
And they
presentation.
didn't wear their t-shirts,
Did
but I
you want to
really
introduce
would
us with our nicknames?
like to say that I directed them to wear the t-shirts and I bought them that because it was lunch lady day, the week before last school lunch lady day, so I got them both lunch lady t-shirts. Very disappointed that they're not ready.
Show them to you like. Not for public consumption.
Holy let down there. All right.
All right. So, been a long process. I'm gonna give an overview and then Ms. Palomino is gonna dig a little deeper, okay, to share what we've been doing for many months, right? We solicited input from school educational partners. That's been both anecdotal as well as some planned meetings where we received input about our food service program, our current, what desires are for the future. Really did some survey work there.
And who did you ask about this?
We talked to parents, students, through the wellness
Okay.
committee.
So everybody who might.
Yeah, people who eat. Okay, and then we released I think it was in February, the RFP, okay? There was a mandatory walkthrough at each campus, okay? That any company that was interested in working with us and supplying food services. So we had 5 vendors that were involved in person or a virtual walkthrough with us. And then we received proposals bids from 3 out of those 5. And then today we're gonna make a recommendation for you. You're up.
All right, so to kind of go in depth of what this procurement process timeline looks like, here is a a very detailed kind of process and why this is such a long process. It's very involved and CDE driven. It's their documents, their guidelines, their deadlines, and we work closely also with School Food and Wellness Group to support this process and our efforts here. So, it starts with us submitting a bid package to CDE. They review it and have a pre-approval of this bid package, and that could take up to 76 days. Once it's approved, we then advertise the RFP, and that advertisement has to be for at least 14 days. Proposal submittal deadline then is no less than 14 days after the advertisement. Then we receive the RFPs and we have an evaluation of these proposals for 7 days. We then select a proposal and award the contract and we have 7 days to do that. We then negotiate the contract terms and submit to the board for approval. We have 5 days to do that. We then submit the negotiated unsigned contract and solicitation documents all to CDE for their review. They have 19 days to review. Then that could take up to 19 days. They review and they approve anything that has been negotiated in the contract. We then get the okay, we execute the contract, and we submit back to CDE an executed contract, and they just kind of give a 1 month final look, make sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted, and CDE then reviews and approves the executed contract or any request for changes, and that's those last 2 days there. So it's a very lengthy back and forth process. So
I wanted to highlight a couple of things here. One, tonight we're asking the board to approve and direct us to continue in the process.
What step are we in right now?
We're in the unsigned contract.
Excellent, thank you. I was like, wow, we're restarting now.
Look at us, yeah.
we're at
Good job.
We're teeing you
Good
up.
thing you're not tired.
So important to understand that what was in your board packet is an unsigned, incomplete contract by design, because what will happen is the minutes from the discussion of this meeting tonight, okay, as well as the agenda for the meeting will be sent to CDE along with all these other documents for them to approve it, so that we can actually get to the point of getting to a new vendor. So that's really where we are right now. A little bit different, the process.
.gov.
.gov, yes. Then I mentioned the wellness committee meetings. We had one at SOC already, a wellness committee meeting. There was a wellness committee meeting last year as well, where there was a survey done. There were some gaps in what people were looking for, and we filled some of those gaps this year. There'll be a wellness committee meeting next week at SV. So again, diverse educational partners. We looked at the results from last year, and I can share a little bit about that. The gaps had to do with the breakfast program. Okay, there was no breakfast program, which you'll see that we're adding, okay, for this upcoming school year. And then also had to do with our adults, actually, our staff, and healthy eating, okay, and being good role models for our students. So we have some work to do there. All right, I think I'll do this one too. So this is the scope of work that was in the RFP. So we look at least 3 years of experience. Any of the companies who did they have at least 3 years of experience with food service programs? We're looking for, these are all estimated numbers, 18,000 for breakfast and 31,500 for lunch meals to over the campuses, the 2 campuses. Their knowledge and experience with National School Lunch Program and school breakfast programs, and we are entering the universal program. Professional references and license in California. So that's high level, some of the criteria.
So why is 18,000? We don't have 18,000 folks in our.
But it's over the period of the school year.
Whole school
Okay.
year, sorry.
whole year.
It's actual breakfast.
Actually
Items.
sold, actually
Yeah.
sold. Just like 100 breakfasts a
Sure.
day, 100 breakfasts a day, 50 breakfasts across 2 campuses.
Yes, that's what we're doing right now. Yes, that is.
I was counting the burritos.
I'm just thinking like, only 50, so that's quite a low uptake for because each of the campuses have 1,100 people, or maybe?
For each campus, there's there's 640 students on one campus and 860
Okay. That's what seems
students on the
like
other.
maybe 900, it's only 50 people we think are gonna apply for this, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and again, estimated, we hope that the numbers will go up.
Yeah, yeah.
right,
And they're
based
able to
on
provide if we
quality.
go up,
Yes,
so it's not gonna
yes.
cause any problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll go ahead.
They're gonna sign a contract for a variable number of breakfasts?
Yes,
So they're gonna agree, hey, whether you have 50 or 150,
it's based on our numbers from this year though.
I see, okay.
Yeah,
So if we have less than that, we still pay them for 50.
right.
Well, they probably deliver you 50,
They're
whether
gonna
you need them or
deliver.
no.
But again, what happens in the first month of the school year, we're really right sizing the number and it changes throughout the year. You can imagine there's, people get used to it and they want to, be involved in the program. So our criteria, so we had a scoring committee, okay? Administrative requirements of the companies, right? They were offering and bidding on this experience with breakfast, like we said, in National School Lunch Program. Understands OPA program, understands OPA, and what our goals, our needs, our requirements would be. Financial stability of the company, and then their corporate capability, experience, and references. So that was some of our high level criteria, and then Rose is gonna go through the numbers a little bit.
Yes, so
for us.
here we have just a quick big picture, and again, these are all estimated numbers. For the current school year, 2021-22, our current food vendor, our food service management company, we're at about 133,000 contracted amount right now, and that only includes lunch. That does not include any breakfast, as you guys know, for the current year. For next year, we're estimated about 144,000 cost for just the meals, including breakfast. And we're focusing on to start off the year with the grab and go breakfast type of model. But we also included in the RFP, if we renew for the following year, a hot breakfast lunch. So we have flexibility in our contract, for future years, but it's our first time serving breakfast with this universal meal program. So we're just gonna do a grab and go type of.
What's a grab and go, Rick? What does that look like?
It could be a, what do you call it, the bars, the
Breakfast
granola
bars.
bars, something like
Protein
that.
bar, muffin, bagel, just something kind of.
It'll be a cold breakfast. Now lunch will be hot, okay, just so you're aware, we haven't had hot this past year, okay?
Do we have to have facilities upgraded before they can even come in, or can they just do this with how it exists right
We're
now?
actually fine where we are now, but with the grant that we have received, we are going to upgrade. and
In
order
time for
some
the next
things.
school year?
Yes, so we do have the ability to heat lunches at each school, but we're gonna upgrade some of our equipment. We've gotten some new refrigerators already, but we may add a freezer, so we're planning for it.
And that's part of that mandatory walkthrough, so they're aware of what our campuses and our specific
That it'll
kitchen
work.
area look like and what we have to provide and offer, so that they're able to provide these type of responses to our RFP and these numbers as well, so that's very.
And the food tastes good? Is the food good?
Yeah, I think,
Have you tried
we're
it?
gonna have more choice, I think, and I'll always say this. Taste is an individual thing, right? And even the students.
That makes you feel confident, doesn't it?
That means they're not eating it in this office.
It's a school lunch, come on, when was the last time you had one that really was like a,
Lazarus.
We can-
There's a lot of nutritional guidelines that change.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
What
what
you
you
can
can
offer.
do, yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's go through the labor is a variable, go ahead.
Yeah, labor, again, we're looking at one server at one of our campuses. These are the just kind of generic, it's an hourly rate of $22, 4 hours a day for 180 school days. So that's a quick snapshot. So for a total estimated annual cost of 160,000 for the upcoming school year with this new vendor.
So that's what we're looking for and asking for your approval tonight for us to continue with these frame numbers in mind. There will be addendums to the contract. There was an incorrect cover letter. There were some other things that were just typos. Okay, so some of that will be cleaned up. And if there's anything that the California Department of Education says we need to change, then we'll be working through that. Okay.
All right.
Okay, any questions? So there it is. So our recommendation is Fresh Start Healthy Meals. There was a graphic there, but it's not showing up, I don't think. Maybe we go back and try again. There it is. Okay. So we're very excited about this. They did great during the process. They're an up and comer. They have not been in existence quite as long as some other, but they seem very interested in being in this market. So we're excited with everything we've heard from them.
They filled out that ridiculously long RFP.
Yes.
We survived that.
I mean, it was long to read. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know the amount of work you guys put together on the wellness committee. I have no exposure to it. I assume that you guys have put input. But the RFP process itself seemed to be pretty comprehensive. I actually read through it and the cool innovative ideas like,
Yes.
you know, you can put unused food here and somebody can come for a second serving. I mean, I've heard school lunch food wastage is a massive issue.
yeah.
And so there's some cool ideas that sort of like.
And they get the students involved as far as surveying the students. And, you know, we've talked about programs to really educate our parents at the beginning. There'll be a different ordering process, there'll be different timelines. But we want to get everybody at the beginning of the school year really excited about it, learn about it in advance when we have open houses and that kind of thing. So, and a lot of it is the presentation also, to have the right, the presentation. So we're going to spend some money, some of the equipment will be, you know, like we used to have salad bars or cold bars, hot bars. We can roll those out and have it available to the students that way, rather than on a table.
Okay, any additional questions or comments from the board before we move to a vote? All right, so here we go. It's recommended that the board of directors approve action item G. Director Agwal?
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye. Director Kagoo?
Aye.
Director Smith?
Aye.
And Director Travis is not, she stepped away from her chair for a moment. So we'll go for and not present.
Or can I ask another real quick question?
Sure.
So,
Is it gonna change your vote?
the timing of breakfast and things, is that during the school day or are they able to come before school
It
and
will
grab?
start at 8:10, okay, and they'll have that 15-20 minutes before classes start to have their breakfast.
But not before 8:10.
That's
We have our campus
starts.
Then we don't have
That's when drop-offs.
staff.
start.
Supervisor.
Okay, so that leads us to action item H. Approve revised job descriptions for 1, school nurse assistant, 2, data and support specialist, which is a title change for the current technology coordinator position, and 3, music teacher. In order to accurately reflect the duties and qualifications for the above 3 positions, the job descriptions for these 3 positions have been revised. There is no financial impact as these positions are already reflected on the salary schedule. It is recommended that the board of directors approve action item H, numbers 1 through 3. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move to approve H1-3.
And I'll second.
Okay, Director Smith and Director Agarwal, thank you for that. Seems pretty straightforward. Anybody have any questions or comments about this? Denali, good? All right. So hearing no questions from the board, and anybody got a burning desire to talk about this?
All right.
Okay, great.
We'll just move on.
Let's move on.
Keep
So we'll do a roll call vote. Director Agarwal?
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye. Director Kagoo? Aye. Director Smith?
Aye.
And Director Travis is still away from her chair. So we move to action item I, approve the 2022-23 Oxford Preparatory Academy Employee Benefits Package. The 2022-23 OPA Employee Benefit Package includes medical, dental, vision, and life insurance, as well as optional ancillary benefit coverages. It is recommended that the board of directors approve action item I. May I have a motion, please? So moved. Director Kagoo, thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
And Director Smith, thank you very much. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'll try to be brief. I know it's late in the day, so I'm super excited to talk to you today. First time in person for me. And I'm excited to share with you this presentation that talks about the health benefit package that we put together for your review and approval for our employees going forward into the next health benefit year. All right, usually we work with a brokerage firm that provides the services, partnership with us and health benefit carriers. We usually go out there and review if we work with the best provider. We did that in 2020. We probably will be doing that again in 2023, just to make sure we're working with the best people out there in the market. And we, just to make sure that we provide the most successful and comprehensive and robust package to our employees. This slide kind of talks about a little summary of this past school year that is coming to an end. Demographic or a little bit of overview of where we stand. Currently, out of 138, we have 121 people signed up for medical benefits with OPA. And if you look down to the right bottom corner, you can see how much money we budgeted for, how much money we actually ended up spending, and you will see that we were under 25% under the budgeted cost. And that's due to the fact that not each employee signed up for the benefit, because sometimes they're on their spouse benefit or other arrangements they have. This is working. So this is the list of the providers that we currently have. We've been with United Healthcare and Kaiser for number of years, and that provides us with consistency, and the benefit providers, they like to see this consistency in order to to secure best rates every year. They prefer to see this consistency provide us the lower rate increases. We switched last year to MetLife, and we planning on staying with them for the upcoming year. They provide us with the dental, vision, and life insurance. In addition to those carriers, we have Colonial Life that has quite a few optional voluntary life insurances. They have 7 plans that they provide to our employees. They can choose from, between cancer insurance, car insurance, other types of insurances that we can choose from. So here we're looking at renewal analysis. So as you can see, we have some numbers based on this 121 employees who signed up, currently actively signed up for the plans. Current year cost broken down by medical, dental, and vision, group life, and then the renewal numbers that are coming up. As you can see, we're looking at about 9.4% of increase in annual premiums. The number is slightly higher than the previous year and the year before, but due to the COVID in the past couple of years, those benefit providers, United Healthcare and Kaiser, they've been kind of generous with not increasing the rate. Like Kaiser stayed without any increases last year at all. UHC did bare minimum rate increase, but this year they're trying to catch up. And going back and forth with the renewal, we were able to bring UHC percentage down from 14.6 to 11.5. And MetLife, since we switched to them last year, we have a lock for 2 years with the same rate, so there's no change there. Looking at these numbers, if we stay 121 people signed up for the health insurance with allowance of $11,000 per year, those are the projected numbers you see. Employer annual expenses and actual expense that occurred last year, and the line under that, 1,331,000. That's what we budgeted for. So we, as I mentioned before, we are 25% under budget. And then the proposing, if we stay with 11,000 per year allowance, same amount of people, those are the numbers we're looking at for next year. But why do we need to stay with what we already had for so many years in terms of allowance, right? So here's the what's new slide. There was a picture. Let me get back to that because I like this picture. So what's new? Well, here's what we bring to you for your consideration. We would like to propose, again, looking around at our benefit packet that was previously, thinking of what else we can do for our employees, how else we can enhance this package, provide more options to them. So this year we are, to full-time employees, we're offering a high deductible plan that comes with a tax advantage health savings account. We are adding one more dental plan. It's dental HMO plan, and we're increasing the allowance to $11,500 per year. Just to help to offset that cost, because we talked about 9.4% increase in cost, and that will help to offset that. Well, and then one of the biggest things that we are very excited to bring forward, we would like to offer health benefits to our part-time employees. It's something very, very new. It's not something that a lot of companies, organizations do, but based on, based on current job market situation, I think this will help us to retain and recruit and have our long-time part-time employees who've been with OPA for so long, kind of give them more of an advantage to continue being here and providing that support to our students. So we propose to offer them a medical plan, the high deductible medical plan with HSA. Both Kaiser and UHC will have that option. They can, go with that Kaiser or UHC high deductible plan. We will offer them also a dental HMO plan. A new employee assistance plan that would be offered to part-time employees. Full-time employees already have access to that. That's why it's not listed there, but part-time employees will have this opportunity to be part of an employee assistance plan. And we would like to offer them a benefit allowance of $4,500 per year to offset the cost. So super excited about that. And now that we proposed all these changes in terms of amount of allowance per year, here's a little bit of a summary, how much it's going to affect our budget and the numbers. So overall, we're looking at about 10% increase of expenditure. If you want to take a moment to look at the numbers. But again, that's just to promote and retain and support our employees. I think, we strongly believe this is so much worth it to have go a little bit of extra mile and provide all those options to our employees.
What is an allowance?
It's an amount of money that you have per year. Or how to explain it?
Because this is not the HSA money. Right?
No. HSA is something that and that would be available to them with their high deductible plan. They would set up their account and they would select a certain amount of money to go to HSA. That's separate. The allowance it's a benefit that OPA provides to our employees. It's basically how do I explain this?
So you can pick, that's your number of dollars that you can spend to pick your plan. You pick whatever plan you want as long as on this menu.
It's kind of a cafeteria plan. So in some employers, what you have is, here's what we offer, take it or leave it, right?
We would just offer Kaiser because
Yeah.
that's basically if you're a
kids.
single employee,
Yeah.
Kaiser is covered by this $11,000, now $11,500. If you want to go above and beyond that, this is what we pay as an organization to cover. And so you might, if you pick a really low deductible, expensive plan, and you have a whole family on that plan,
you may have to.
So this is our liability
This is our liability
for each employee.
Yep.
And then do the employees also, the 9.4% premium increase you guys said, do the employees pay that from their pocket right now?
Not necessarily. It depends on what plan they choose.
Right.
In the 9.4, it's
So if it's
overall-
like 9,500, you're under your allowance, you don't need to pay anything.
Yes,
you get that.
yes,
Okay.
and there is a pretty significant amount of employees, because that have employee-only medical, dental, and vision, that goes under that allowance, and they end up not paying anything from their paycheck. But sometimes the plan is a little bit more elaborative, and they end up paying $20 or $30 or $50, which still, considering the cost, is still.
So you can buy insurance from us, and if the premiums turn out to be more than 11,500, they have to pay for that.
Yes.
Then there'll be a deduction from their paycheck.
But does that make sense, Paul? You can pick whatever plan you want from
And
this
so they
list.
have a value associated with it.
That's right, that's right. And if you want to add your husband and 3 kids, then you might blow that
They only pay the difference.
So what's great about it is we have the ease system portal, which we started last year.
Yeah.
So when you do open enrollment as an employee, it calculates everything. So you can do a lot of what-if scenarios, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
It's really slick.
Yeah.
Okay, we're thrilled to have it because everything used to be paper.
Or it
Okay.
helps them
And that's a
know
tough,
what
that's a
their
tough
costs are.
conversation.
Yeah.
you can
It's a
model
very
it.
difficult decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that allowance amount competitive?
Very much competitive. We've been researching this amount. It's very in par with the surrounding districts and talking with our brokerage. And a couple of years ago, when we went through the bid out there and looking for the brokerage, we brought that question up. How are we, where we stand with that? And they were very surprised with this amount. Not everyone provides this.
I mean, this is unusual for me too, because for me, I pay premium.
Mhm,
and I only get a HSA from my company, I don't get an allowance.
mhm.
So the premium goes out of my pocket, right?
Mhm.
So this is, I mean, we should make sure that our teachers
Market
understand that
this
this is very, I mean, for me, I've never been in a high deductible HP plan where my company will pay me for my premium, never ever had it.
Yeah. And then you know, you all type, the part-time employee piece
But that's also a new.
definitely will make us very much more competitive, especially for like our IAs and positions that are really hard to fill.
Smart.
Yeah.
There's only a few other districts in the county who offer that, and so it really puts us above and beyond, and it doesn't, I mean, you can see it doesn't really cost us much, it's $76,000 to offer
We're very
it,
excited about
to be able to really have that competitive edge.
Do we offer, so like in my scenario, like I'm covered elsewhere, so with my employer, they give me something every month because I opted out. Do we do that as well? Because sometimes that ends up being a cost savings for the employer if you have more employees opt out.
We do not,
Okay.
yeah.
It just brings other things to the table if we do.
Yeah.
We do not. So here are recommendations. We would, recommend to stay with Kaiser, renew with Kaiser, even though they have a 7.8% increase, but they are now offering this high deductible health plan, HMO health plan, which will, it's less of a premium amount. I mean, it's one more additional cheaper plan, let me put it just this way. And then it also has this tax advantage health savings account that will, help to decrease the cost. Then with United Healthcare, we also propose to renew with United Healthcare. Again, they also will be offering the high deductible plan, just for those who like United Healthcare care options, they can stay with them and choose a high deductible plan. Dental, vision, and life insurance with MetLife, there are no increases. As I mentioned, we have 2-year rate lock, and we would like to go, continue with them, renew with MetLife, and dental, vision, life, and volunteer life MetLife. And next slide, wants to come along, there we go. This is just a summary of additional benefits. Yeah.
Come on, wag
This is a
This
summary.
was Eva's idea. I had nothing to do with
Right.
It's the whole family.
So now our employees have this option to choose. This is not obligatory. This is if they want to. Under Colonial Life, this is the amount of different plans that I mentioned they provide. You can pick and choose. You can sign up for all of them, one of them, whatever suits you. Now we are proud to offer WAGBOM. It's a pet insurance. It's done voluntarily and it's all on an employee. We just connect them, make an introduction. They set up their payments through a credit card, I believe it's getting charged. So no payroll deduction or anything of that elaborate setup is not necessary. And Schools First Credit Union, we've have a pretty good, strong relationship with them for a number of years now. We are providing 403B, Roth 403B retirement plans, 457 plan, which is deferred contribution plan, and we're looking into adding Roth 457B to this plan too.
This is not included in your $11,000.
No, 11,000 or 11,500 will cover only medical, dental, and vision.
Got it, yeah. But we do have usage, employee usage of the Colonial Life. A lot of those different ones you see listed there. So it is popular with a certain segment of our employees, depending on their.
Yeah, well, and it's hugely inexpensive instead of going out on the open market.
It's a group
Yeah.
plan. Yeah.
Yes, and it's a great, especially short-term disability, it's a great additional insurance for our younger population of teachers. So when they go on maternity leave, that's where they tap in to get the additional supplemental payments while they're on leave. So it's very popular. Any questions, please?
Great presentation.
Fantastic.
Great presentation.
All right, so any additional questions or comments for Eva? All right, so we'll move to a roll call vote then. Director Agrawal.
Aye.
Director Jackson, aye. Director Kagoo.
Aye.
Director Smith.
Aye.
And Director Chavez.
Aye.
All right, the OPA Academy Employee Benefits Package has passed. So here we go. Committee reports. Strategy Development Committee.
Okay. Woohoo. Gotta open it first. And I'm not gonna switch chairs, I'm gonna run it from mine.
You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you. Finger rocket. All right. So we have been kind of all year and even back into the end of last year, we had our strategy and development committee, and we have members Kugu and Travis. We have some teachers, we have some parents, we have some administrators. So we have a bunch of people on the committee really kind of looking at how we can continue to improve our programs and our student experiences on campus. And like I said, we have kind of a whole list of people on that committee. And really we've done quite a bit this year. We had some parent focus groups last summer. We got a lot of different staff and student, and then again, parent input. The first thing that we really looked at was determining some major focus areas that we wanted to look at this year and really hit strongly this year. So some of those things were looking at the multiple intelligences, and Dr. Henry, kind of highlights those different things that they're doing on campus in her C&I reports. Working, especially coming back from COVID, working on building confidence and character and sense of belonging in our students, building those enrichment and outside of the classroom experiences, working on our culture of excellence and making sure that we continue to have a lot of academic rigor. Looking at our technology and infrastructure, I know, Mr. Barley went through his presentation with lots and lots of different things that we're doing with technology and infrastructure, and then also looking at how to enhance, especially now that we're able to build on this core, but how to enhance parent involvement and education. And so we decided to create a dashboard that would kind of show all of these different initiatives and where we are currently and then throughout next school year as we implement them. So with the dashboard, we kind of made it match the California school dashboard. So things that are in blue are really fully implemented, sustainable, kind of going year after year. Green, they're fully implemented this year. We just need to make sure that they're sustainable in future years. Yellow, we've started implementing. Orange, we're in kind of the planning stages or initial implementation. And then red, we haven't started, or we're planning on starting it off with the 2022-2023 school year. So if you look, so our first category was multiple intelligences. So you can kind of look through there. Dr. Henry talked about our assessment system. That's definitely fully implemented, sustainable. We give those iReady assessments and a lot of different assessments throughout the year. After school clubs and activities, we brought back this year. They've been, a big part of OPA, what makes our schools special. In kind of the fully implemented, but we want to make sure that we're sustainable completely in future years, looking at our professional learning, our summer enrichment and summer program. We've implemented our standards-based curriculum in every subject area, but this is green because we're just finally adopting from middle school that social studies to round it out and finish it off. And then looking at doing a different multiple intelligence of the month. We've implemented that this year, so carrying that on. And then you can kind of see where we are with different other areas that we're kind of in the initial stages. And then we're looking at really implementing next year more parent education opportunities around the multiple intelligences. And then you can look here, building confidence, character, sense of belonging, enrichment, and outside of the classroom experiences. You gotta turn your head a little bit to read it, but all those things on this slide. So you can kind of see what we're already, our Scholar Academy program is amazing and super sustainable, going strong. We have Taekwondo. Then looking at, again, different assessment programs, PBIS, clubs, our civic engagement opportunities, character traits, International Day are things that are kind of open traditions, things that we do, but we want to make sure that we continue to sustain those. And you can look at in the yellow, different leadership opportunities, peer mentoring, really continuing to build our EL program, different assemblies, we're working on our dress code, all of that. So you can kind of see where we are. Some things that we are looking to kind of work on next year are more public speaking and performance opportunities, and then doing different visits for college and career visits. So that's what we'll be kind of looking at improving next year. And then for academic rigor and excellence, you can see, I mean, we are one-to-one technology, we have world languages all through, we have a great professional development program, but things that we're gonna work on are kind of what we've brought with the academic outcomes committee, looking at bringing in more civic learning and the pathway to civic learning, and then those capstone projects and the champion profile, and then really starting to bring in more for our GATE students, and having kind of extra enrichment opportunities and activities for our GATE program. And then for technology and infrastructure, there's a lot of red and orange and yellow because of all of the things that we're putting in place and doing right now. So that's not the prettiest colors, but it's just because we're actually doing so much coming up now and through with all of the big infrastructure and technology improvements that we have going on. And then for parent involvement, really kind of focusing next year on doing a lot more parent education events, building our education for our new families, having some new family welcoming events, and then also having an annual calendar of events at the beginning of the year, so everybody can kind of plan ahead. Knock on wood, hoping that COVID doesn't, ruin that like it did this year, but being able to really kind of plan for the entire year and have that so that everybody knows what's going on every month. And then maybe coming up with some ways to incentivize more parents to volunteer on our campuses and be part of our honor societies and be present on campus and be more involved in our campus activities. So, so we are gonna post this dashboard on our website and be able to kind of track monthly where we are with each of these initiatives so that everybody knows and can kind of see what's coming up, what we're still working on, where we feel that we've kind of hit the mark and what we still need to work on. So, and then we can also use this dashboard to inform our LCAPs and our site plans so that everybody's on the same page and is able to provide that input and kind of show where we are with all of these different things. So that's kind of where we are now with the strategy and development committee to kind of wrap up this year with all of the things that we've done, and then we'll be kind of looking at next year. But we're kind of going to move more towards the development part next year with looking at fundraising and how we can kind of now move towards, from building those initiatives and building those things on our current campuses to how can we kind of take it forward into the future and even, can even do bigger things and get those, build our fundraising and be able to add more programs even in the future. So it's kind of where we are with strategy and development. You want anything?
Nice job.
Delight's excited. We're moving into the development part.
I have a couple of questions for you. What's the criteria for sustainability? Like, how do you assess that you're at a sustainable space?
So it's kind of if it's been something that we have had implemented successfully over at least 2 years in our past, then we would kind of consider that as being more sustainable. If it's something that we put into place and is fully implemented this year, but we don't know whether we're able to carry it on to a second or third year, then we would put it more in that green color.
Okay, and then how do you assess your colors? Like, how do you know that as an organization, we're green? Or
So I mean, here we were kind of getting different feedback from different groups of people, and we'll kind of continue to do that as we move through the different colors. So getting feedback from staff or feedback from parents or students on how we are doing in this different
yeah,
areas.
because I feel like we need to have a robust way to get feedback.
And then we do, I mean, we can do it kind of through the surveys, as well as, you know, just general, we have our teacher focus groups that also provide a lot of input in how we're doing in these different areas. So trying to just get a lot of stakeholder feedback.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
All right,
Awesome.
good job. So any additional questions or comments about the strategy development committee? Good job. Okay, so hearing none, let's move to executive director reports. Okay.
So we have lots of different stuff going on. So like Garrett said, I don't have 5 slides on testing, but it has been really successful. All of our teachers have been wearing their Rock the Test t-shirts and trying to get the kids excited. We brought back a lot of different things, you know, snacks in the class and writing the letters from the parents and just trying to kind of get the kids excited because testing isn't that exciting. So trying to kind of get the kids excited about testing, feed them and they will do the test. But really just, you know, trying to get them back into that routine of testing too, because a lot of our kids haven't tested. A lot of our kids have never tested, even, you know, our 4th and 5th graders have never taken the test. And so, so it's really just trying to kind of get them back into the routine of state testing so they know what's coming and they understand just even the tools to use, how to use the calculator, how to type in a fraction or things like that. So, so it's been exciting to just kind of see all the excitement from the teachers and the really cool things that they've been doing. We're in the home stretch, so we're getting ready for all of the end of year events and promotions and dances and field days and all of that kind of all of that stuff and trying to get all of that. We have Astro Camp coming up tomorrow and Monday, depending on which grade level. So just we have a lot of stuff crammed into the next month, just to make the end of the year really exciting for our students. We are actually going back to Knott's Berry Farm for our 8th graders, so we're excited to be able to have that kind of big end of year activity for the 8th graders to be able to go to Knott's. In the past, they always got to go for their big 8th grade trip. And then during COVID, of course, it was closed, so we couldn't send kids. So now we're excited to have all of the 8th grade end of year kind of promotion activities for the kids. We had a ton of people apply for the lottery and we're filling all of those spots. So we had a huge, we still have a huge wait list. We had a huge number of people apply, bigger pretty much than any other year. And we haven't even started adding in the post-lottery applicants. So, you know, they sent out the enrollment. Well, the Orange County Department of Education sent out the enrollment for all of our surrounding districts and charter schools, kind of like I shared with everyone earlier in the year. Still all Orange County school districts are declining enrollment, and almost half of Orange County charter schools are declining enrollment. So to see us with a 2,000 person wait list is pretty amazing and really a huge testament to just what's going on in our schools and our classrooms and the great, amazing things that our staff and our students and our families are doing. So, I mean, I would say in all of my meetings that I go to, we have a list.
Do they know that? Does the district know how long?
Yes, it was on my slide.
Oh.
Might have obtruded that one a little bit during the presentation. But yeah, so we are, you know, we're in a really great place. So, you know, going into next year and just continuing that momentum and really, you know, making sure that that everybody wants to come to OPA. So it's great to see that still is the case, and we're continuing with that. And that kind of leads to the last thing. We had our public hearing at Saddleback Valley Unified on May 12th. And we're able to really present a lot about our proposed middle school program. We had some great speakers. Member Kagoo is one of our speakers wearing his teal tie, and we had some great student speakers. Betsy Freiler was there as a parent speaker. So we had a couple of teachers. So it was really good to get to have all of those people talking about how amazing our current programs are and how excited they are about the prospect of being able to open a new middle school. And so we're just hoping that they'll be giving a decision on June 16th, which is actually our last day of school. So it's going to be a busy day because it will be the SV grant or SOC promotion at 1:30, the SV promotion at 3:30, and then off to Saddleback Valley for the decision at 6. So it's going to be a big day. And I would love if we could have, as many board members who could come just to kind of support. We're going to have a couple of more parents and students just, giving, pulling a couple of quick comment cards that night. It's mostly going to be about the decision, but we do want to have people there that, hopefully it's a yes. And then, we can have a group there to kind of show our appreciation and excitement about that decision. So
Are we doing a rebuttal at that?
So we will have some people talking about our inclusion, the fact that we do take, just like any other public school, we take anybody, we have a huge Scholar Academy program and the English Learner program, and
the fact that we are a public school.
And we are a public school, not a private school.
Yeah.
So just, kind of just to answer to some of the, some of the comments and make sure that everyone is aware of all of the, specifics. So we do have some specific people who will be speaking on just those topics at the next meeting.
So we'll send out a meeting invitation.
Yes, we'll send out an invitation, but just to say the date for
We all going over
6
the school
o'clock.
bus.
On the 16th, we are not taking a school bus. Raymond's going to be the chauffeur back and forth.
Are we letting parents know in advance?
Yeah, we'll let parents know as well.
Can we do the invite for all the events that day?
Yeah, we'll send, you'll get an invite for all of the promotions as well as this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's important because I know we always reference it as Scholars Academy, but I think even when we say that, they don't realize what that means.
At the meeting, it will be our special education program, because we use Scholar Academy. It's kind of this that we were talking about, posting positions, and when we post positions to make sure we're using regular language instead of OPA language, because sometimes I think people don't know what it means, and then we get less applicants. So I think just anytime we're doing it.
Did you apply to be a chancellor?
As you apply to be a chancellor and you think you're working at a college. So, so it's, we want to make sure that, like, when we did our presentation, we tried to use everybody language versus OPA language so that they would know what we were talking about.
Perfect. Because I think that helps clear things up.
It does.
For people.
So the promotion or the graduation for 8th grade, is that Friday or Thursday?
It's Thursday. Yeah, so it'll be Thursday. There'll be one at 1:30, one at 3:30, and then 6 for the meeting. So be
Big day.
just have to like grab a protein bar or something.
Excellent. Good luck.
All right, that's all I have.
Yeah.
All right.
Raymond, you're up.
So, director reports. What do you think? Danilo, you're up.
I'm thinking I'm gonna make it quick and say no comments. Everybody's heard everything so far from me, so.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I love that.
I know.
Me too.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Okay.
All right. How about you, Director Smith?
How about me? I'll also be quick. So I just want to say I have two finallys. I finally got my shirt. Very excited.
Ask and you shall receive.
Finally, after holding out with the COVID and stuff, I got my 2 tours of each campus. So thank you, Dr. Pan. It was great to see all the like learning and just clever engagement going on as we went from classroom to classroom. So kudos to everyone. It was super cool.
Nice. Is that Paul's turn now?
I do have a speech written up.
Janelle, you ready to go?
9:51. No, so a couple things. One is obviously, I know you guys are nearing the end of the school year. It's been a rough year, so thanks again to all the staff and teachers. I know it's been an incredible amount of work, and some of you guys, the year is not over yet, but for the others, I hope you get a good summer break. And the other thing is I want to acknowledge the folks who spoke at the SVSD hearing, Professor Andrew, Betsy Filer, Logan Bailey, and Kayla Wells, SOC students, and Erin Lai, an SV student. What was so unique is they had to sit through 90 minutes of people coming and, like the recognition events. And then we had this person who said interesting things that nobody should hear about, and then so it was just amazing that they were just sitting through. The parents were there to help out. There were other staff members also, and so really appreciate. I mean, it just shows the level of involvement. And I know in the past people have worn OPA shirts to come. Maybe we'll do that next time with OPA headbands and stuff. But I hope the
Amy's wearing her shirt.
I'm on detail head.
And I hope if the SVSC board is watching, give us a chance. Hopefully they'll approve it, and I'm excited. Let's see what happens next month. Thank you.
How do I top that? I will keep it really short. I think the biggest thing is especially with testing going on right now, and I know it's been a long year for everybody. So I just want to thank everybody for all their hard work.
Lots of hard work for sure. Okay, so community input on non-agendized items. The public may comment on items not listed on the agenda that are within the legal purview of the board of directors. Public comments, including email comments, should be limited to 3 minutes per comment with up to 20 minutes of public comment. Do we have any community input on non-agendized items?
We did have from Catherine Twardos, but she is not present. I don't see her present on Zoom.
Did she ask for it to be read out, or did she?
Just did a comment card. Is she available? Just to give her a chance. If you're on, you can unmute and make your comment.
She heard about that overnight kindergarten thing, and she's
She's
signing up for that right now.
Or maybe you answered all the questions. I believe her comment, and I can, just because she may have just left it writing her comment. Her comment was to possibly add a geometry class to our campuses, which we actually already offer that geometry. So for any students who are eligible to take that.
Alrighty then. So moving on to adjournment. It's recommended that the board of directors adjourn the regular meeting of the Oxford Preparatory Academy Board of Directors meeting on May 19, 2022. May I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
I didn't do anything. May I have a second?
A second.
All right, Paul. So all in favor here of adjourning, say aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none, meeting's adjourned at 9:52.